What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode and live stream of Let's Get Nuts here on the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back. Guys, we have a pretty big show for you today. Despite the fact that there's not a ton of news, we got lots of entertainment news to talk about. Quite a bit of different stuff in the 6-scale world, especially Caustic Plastic. I also want to talk about that Joker that we've seen in the commercials, the State Farm Joker, and a whole lot more. So guys, stick around. We have a huge panel ready for you today. Let's get nuts.
What are you doing? You're completely outnumbered here. Are you nuts? You want to get 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 nuts? Come on. Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts. Let's get nuts.
Alrighty then. Good to see you all here already. Thanks to everybody for joining in early. We got a big show today, so I'm sure we'll see lots of folks rolling in. As is tradition, we're going to go through entertainment news, say hi to the chat, and then get into the 6-scale stuff. But without further ado, let's bring in the first panelist of the day, making his second appearance on Let's Get Nuts. Some of you may know him as the Magnus. Some of you may know him as Valkyrie Magnus. We got Eric, Valkyrie Magnus, back in the chat with us again. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for being here once again.
Thanks for having me. It's really good to be here. Thank you, Ben.
Hell yeah. You were able to convince the wife to take another 3 hours out of your Sunday and not help with any chores for the rest of the afternoon. I see. Love to see it. Tell her thank you as well for us. It's good to have you here, buddy. Good to have you here. Now, of course, my favorite X-Men. You would not be a Let's Get Nuts stream if you didn't have an appearance of this young, fine gentleman. Let's bring him out here. We got Mr. Dave, X-Men Scream, back in the house again. Good to see you once again. Good start. How are you, buddy?
Well,
I assume. I assume. I don't like to assume anybody's gender or age anymore. You just never know.
I am a very young woman.
There you go. Beautiful. Beautiful. Good to see you back, buddy. Thanks for being here.
Good to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah. No, guys, I've got a special appearance in the show today. We haven't seen the guy in his regular chair in a little while with all his lights and his microphone set up. The last time we saw him, he was rocking a chair with a little bit of oxygen. He's still got the oxygen, but he's going to make this stream extra classy. Let's be honest. Let's get him back out here. We got Classy Thomas in the house. SpongeBob SquareBalls. Good to see you, buddy.
Hey,
and back in your hot seat once again. Love to see it.
Yes, sir. Doing very well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. And so, of course, my voice is still not 100% back. But, you know, whenever I have an opportunity or I have the energy to come and hang with my boys, I want to do it. So I tell Ben, if you got a spot, let me come in, put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. So,
love to see it.
Here I am.
Love to see it, buddy. And of course, because you're a little winded, even still, let me know if you're needing to cut out, do anything like that. If, you know, let's be honest, if Classy has a point today and he's pushing through it, that means he's got a really good point. So we got to listen nice and closely. So good to have you back, buddy, as always. Now, it wouldn't be a Let's Get Nuts stream if we didn't have the professor here with us. Well, maybe he's not a professor, but he's a beautiful Irish man back in the house. We got 1 6-figure folks here with us once again. Hopefully having a day off tomorrow because I'm going to take all of the rest of your evening if at all possible. Good sir, love to have you here. Oh, look at that Guinness. Hell yes. Hell yes. Man, those are dark beers. Hey, check that out. That's badass. Dude, your display behind you also just looking crispy as hell with this lighting. How's it going?
Thank you. Thanks very much for allowing me to be on. I do have the day off tomorrow because tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day. Long weekend. Hence why I'm having a beer on what would have otherwise be a school night. And thanks for the compliments in the collection. Did a bit of rearranging today and yeah, all good, man. All good.
What was your most favorite rearrange today? Is there anything that you're like, hell yeah, that's nailing it for me now?
Put me on full screen there for a second. Okay, so you know I'm a
glad you're wearing pants.
family...
Glad you're wearing pants.
Yeah. I know. Can you? You know, I'm usually one figure per shelf, but
yeah.
I had the Sebastian Shaw I always have to pause in case I say Stan. I have the
Yeah.
incredible Sebastian Shaw sculpt on him, and I just switched it out and changed the pose a little, and then put 2 troopers behind him. And I gotta say, I'm loving the contrast between the black and white. So that was it. And oh yeah, you see that?
The Jazz
You see
King.
that? Oh yeah.
So
Hell
jealous.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
goddamn
good.
jealous.
Yeah, so that was it.
Yeah, I sold my Hot Toys 2.0 one because I couldn't find space for it. And to be honest with you, I just still did feel a little jealous of the Jazz Ink one. It's just really beautiful. But I couldn't justify it at the time, so maybe if I own a house one day, I'll try and find it on the secondary for astronomical pricing. But at that point, hopefully I'll have a place to actually put it. So we'll find out. So, but good to have you back, Shane, as always, and everybody here in the panel. Philly, Figurecraft, he may stop in at some point throughout the show today. He was saying that he's got a pretty cool diorama display that he wants to show off a little bit. So if he pops in the back room here, we'll definitely bring him in. But guys, let's get started with the show because we got lots to talk about today. The 26 to 30 people who are already here with us getting nuts on Sunday. Love your faces. Thank you for being here, guys. Oh, and one quick thing. I want you guys to help me a little bit with this. Last week I did like an impromptu stream. It was just like I can't remember. It was like a Saturday night or a Thursday night or something random, super late. And I wanted to talk about the Hono figures, and nobody was available, so I just streamed by myself. But as a result, I didn't hate doing it. I thought I'd be really nervous. I was nervous, honestly, to get in. But once it was going, it was fun. I need to figure out a good name for impromptu stream. Something that you guys will see if it pops up on YouTube. You'll be like, oh shit, Ben's on for a quick one, as opposed to it being so Let's Get Nuts official, as always. So if you guys can think of any short and sweet, Ben's live at the moment kind of thing, channel names, or I should say show names, let me know. Put it in the chat, and I'll keep them in mind for sure. In fact, Let's Get Nuts, I believe, was actually given to me by Niculio, I think, back in the day. He was the one that came up with that. So, guys, let's get into it. Warm up here for us today. Really quickly, Christopher Nolan has posted up that The Dark Knight is coming back to IMAX on May 23rd, 2025. That means all 6-scale companies need to give us another Joker again. Obviously, we need 3.0s and 4.0s now that it's back in theaters. But I put this in the show sheet because I was curious from you guys. I will actually honestly admit that I saw The Dark Knight. I have 14 ticket stubs to prove how many times I went and saw that movie in theaters. I absolutely loved it. And I remember on the 14th time feeling just a little oddly teary-eyed, thinking, man, this is the last time I'm going to see Heath on the big screen. Not thinking that obviously one day they'd put it back in theaters and all that stuff. But that's probably the one film that I've seen the most in theaters. So chat involvement as well, and panel. Quick question. What's the one film you've seen in the theaters the most in your life? Could be Star Wars films, could be Dark Knight, could be whatever you want. Just curious if there's one film that you have purposely gone back to see multiple times. Shane, start with you, buddy. Start with you.
I think it might have been this one as well, because I think I saw this I definitely saw it 2, maybe 3 times it originally released, and then I know during 2020 they were bringing back, no movies were being made, so they were bringing back older movies, and I saw it again then, and then not September Gone, but September 2023. I think it was September Gone. Yeah, they did. My local cinema during Batman Day showed the entire Dark Knight trilogy one after another, so I saw it again. So that's about 5 times. I don't think I've seen it. I definitely didn't see it 14 times. I saw Dune 2 3 times because I wanted to see it in IMAX. So I saw it in a normal movie, then IMAX, and then went again, see it in IMAX again. But yeah, there's a few movies like I saw the Batman 3 times, saw Top Gun Maverick 3 times, just movies I loved. But yeah, I like going to the cinema, and it's nice that you're gonna see a movie you're gonna like because you've seen it already, as opposed to spend X amount of money in the latest MCU movie and maybe not actually get bang for your buck. So it's a safer bet going to see a movie you love, I guess. But yeah, nothing like 14. I think maybe 5 times is the tops I've ever seen any movie in a cinema.
Batman underscore collectible says The Dark Knight 18 times. Oh my god, helped a buddy own a theater. I also saw The Dark Knight 4 days before Thursday night premiere. That's pretty sweet. This was back before tickets, you could prepay for them, at least for me anyways. So I had to stand in line at the midnight lineup all around the concession stands waiting to see this movie for the first time. It was a cool experience, but I hated the stress of having to be in line early, just in hopes that you could even sit beside the friends that you went with, and that there were, you weren't going to get all split up. I remember there was one time I showed up a little late. I ended up in the bottom corner of the theater while all my friends were up above. But you could, saving seats back then was just a faux pas. It was like, screw you, man. Your jacket doesn't represent the fact that you've got 6 friends still late, to the movies. So, honestly, Shane, I thought Deadpool might be one of them. I thought maybe it was either Deadpool 1 or Deadpool 2 that I thought you might say as well, that you saw a bunch of times. But I don't know why I thought that. I just,
as much as I really, really like and love the Deadpool movies, all 3 of them, it doesn't hold a candle to the Dark Knight. So
valid. X-Men, what about you, buddy? Any ones that stand out in your lifetime that you saw multiple times in theaters?
Well, first I'd like to say I will always hold a seat. I will fight a dude. Not even a question. But
cool. What weight class are you going?
Stab a bitch.
You know what? I don't care, man. I don't care what the weight class is. I got a seat saved. That's a seat saved. You want it? You gotta go through me. I don't even care. But I think it will surprise no one to find out that Deadpool and Wolverine was the movie for me. I saw it 7 times.
Wow.
In theaters. Yeah, I've only ever seen another movie maybe twice in theaters, and because I don't like being out around people like that so much. I just I could deal without that. But I had to go see this one as much as I possibly could, and then when it got on streaming, oh boy, I don't even know how many after that.
That's insane. That's
awesome. Yeah,
I think I've only seen that movie 3 times. I think 3 times. I think is my number on that one so far.
It's my favorite movie now.
Hell yeah, dude! All hits us in different ways, which is pretty fun. 12-inch Moose Stream, one of our channel members in the chat here, says Star Wars: A New Hope between 1977 and 1980 movies. Went to the second run theaters for $1 or $2 days before home video. Saw it 23 times. That is epic, dude. That's a story for sure. Love to see it there. Classy Thomas, same question for you, buddy. What's a movie that has stood out in your lifetime that you saw multiple times?
Well, I hope this doesn't make me sound like too much of a tourist, but I have never seen any movie in the theater more than once.
What? Really?
Yes. Usually what I do is, if I go to a movie, I really like it, I'll just wait until it comes out on either it's time on video or disc, and then I'll just watch it in my home theater. So, yeah, I've never seen a movie in a theater more than one time.
That's crazy, dude. I thought you were going to say you'd go into the theater and you'd pull out a recording device and you'd record the whole movie and then you'd plug it in your TV when you get out. So I thought you were going with that for a second. I was like, oh god, he's going to say something illegal on the Let's Get Nuts.
I'm not that guy. I'm not selling bootleg copies or anything like that. Yeah, but I've never seen anything more than once.
Crazy, dude. Well, fair enough. Not for everybody. What about you, Eric, for Valkyrie? What any ones that stand out in your life, or are you like Classy? Never gone to a movie twice?
That sounds kind of funny, but the most I ever see a movie is twice if I really like it. Like Deadpool, I saw it twice. Like a ton of movies I've seen twice. Even like one weird thing though is I have to say this. For me, my favorite all-time movie when I was a kid was Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and nice. I saw it twice. And then my parents gave me the VHS, which I watched probably 30 more times. But for actually going to a movie, it would have to go to... There was only one movie I ever saw 3 times, and that was Return of the Jedi. So 1983, I saw it twice. And then it was re-released in the 90s. And so I went to see it again. So that was 3 times for Return of the Jedi, the most I've ever seen a movie in a theater. That much.
Return of the Jedi. That's
yes.
a good one, too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Great thoughts, guys. I feel warmed up. I was just curious, as I said, because I will probably do this a 15th time and see this movie again in theaters. Despite kind of like what Chris Porteous in the chat says here. Sup, guys? Tired of seeing Ledger Joker collectibles, but I'd see this again in theaters. I'm feeling kind of the same way. We're going to talk a little bit about Ledger figures today and likeness once again, but we're going to try and spice it up a little bit differently this time than we've chatted about it before. So let's move on, because something else that I've seen twice recently is the State Farm commercial featuring Bateman, or Jason Bateman, as kind of a pseudo Batman in the trailer, and it was actually really fun. And one of the standout performances, honestly, all of them stood out to me to a certain extent, but the one that stood out to, I think, most people, it seems like, is the actor playing the Joker in the Batman State Farm commercial that's got the geek community buzzing, as he has a striking resemblance to a young Jack Nicholson. And yeah, I didn't even necessarily think that at first, but he does. But people are saying that this is now the best Joker on like screen, at least look-wise, since Heath Ledger's Joker. Do you guys agree with the fact that it was like that impactful of a commercial? Like, should we be petitioning for this guy to get a Joker, a movie himself, or do you think people just need to chill the hell out a little bit? It's fun, but come on, you know, like, come on. I'll go to you first, Shane. What are your thoughts on the homework assignment for the day of
I didn't do my homework.
Commercial? You hate to see it.
I
The
commented,
teacher in the chat.
I commented in the private chat saying, "I'm sorry, sir, I didn't do my homework."
Shit. I didn't see
So
it. Hate to see it.
no, but my God, recency. I haven't seen. I don't know any. I don't even know what State Farm is. I haven't seen it. I can't comment. But I will say one
State
thing:
Farm, I think, is
recency bias
insurance.
is real in the world, man.
It 1000% is. It was funny. It was funny. I definitely recommend it. It's in our show sheet chat if you're curious. Dave, did you get a chance to watch this? What were your thoughts on the performances here? And honestly, the quality of this commercial. Yeah.
It was good. It was really good. Friggin'. You know what? This is, in the interest of the three Jokers idea, this guy, Nicholson and Romero, I think fit really well in that iconography, right? Because they all have that kind of comic Joker down pretty well in different stages of comicdom. So I think this guy looked pretty damn good. I was very impressed with this. I thought it was awesome. The rest of the cast, they were all right, but this guy, this guy nailed it, and the Batman was pretty good too. Yeah.
When I was in Las Vegas last week, I was watching Hotel TV, and they kept featuring those commercials of this like sauce that you rub on your eye bags. So I was like, ooh, I should get that for myself at some point, because there are days where I do not sleep nearly enough. And I saw this photo of this dude, and I was like, man, he'd be a great candidate for those eye bags. But then he might lose some of his like iconic Joker face, so maybe he shouldn't. And I do not pronounce it as Las Vegas. Thank you very much. It is Vegas.
Yeah, you do.
You hate to see it.
Yeah, and I don't say film.
That's fair. That's fair. Classy Thomas, what about you, buddy? Did you have a chance to watch this? Did you have any quick thoughts on it as kind of a fun warm up trailer?
Yeah, I did. I didn't realize that was a real guy. I thought it was AI.
Oh,
first,
fair.
Because I was like, well, because it looked so close. Jack Nicholson. I thought they used AI to recreate him. But I did want to comment on Bateman. Did you notice that? I don't know if y'all saw that when he was a kid, on this show, Silver Spoons, I think.
Yes.
That sarcastic kid. He played Bateman, like all of his old sarcastic things. It was so fun to see him doing that. I was like, man, Bateman has not lost it at all. He has still got it. But yeah, I sincerely thought I thought this Joker was AI. I really
That's
did.
an interesting. an interesting thought. It does actually kind of look like AI when you watch that trailer. You're 100% right. And in a world of AI technology nowadays, I think we're going to see a lot more of that kind of stuff, right? So that's cool. Valkyrie, I'll finish with you here, and then we'll move on to some more serious news.
Okay.
12-inch Moose Stream says, where can I get a Bateman figure? Would you get yourself a Bateman figure after watching this commercial, or this version of the Joker, if it was available?
Yeah, I might do that. I was going to say, for me, like Classy Thomas, I used to watch Silver Spoons also, and I'm the same age as Jason Bateman. So I remember him like that kid who pretty much thought he could do everything in all those shows as kids. And now I was just happy to see him in that commercial. I thought it was really funny. And like Classy Thomas, I was wondering if that was an AI Joker as well. And it was like, wow. He looks like a young Jack Nicholson. But yeah, I thought that was just an awesome commercial. I loved it. It was just great fun, and kind of glad to see Jason Bateman still kind of doing some sort of appearances.
Just having fun with it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah, well said. Guys, we have 41 folks watching in the chat. We're all warmed up now, of course. We're going to move into some serious entertainment. No, serious entertainment news. Some light entertainment news. And then some 6-scale stuff as well. If you don't mind hitting the like button if you haven't already. It's definitely appreciated. Now that these guys are all warmed up, let's talk a little bit about Sadie Sink. So Sadie Sink, you might recognize her from such television shows as... Stranger Things, season 4, season 3 as well. She was awesome in season 4. In fact, there was, of course, that one iconic scene where, she gets taken by Vecna and she's floating upwards with that Running Up the Hill song. And then everywhere I went for the next 2 months, that was playing in the car every single time. So not a bad song when you've heard it like 78 times in a week. Gets to be a little bit. But Sadie Sink has now been reportedly cast as... Jean Grey, and she looks to be making an appearance in Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4. So I think that's really cool. I was curious, though, for you guys, now we have an idea, at least, at the very least, of age range of Jean Grey, which gives us then a bit better of a feel for what we can maybe expect from X-Men, and, the type of, casting that'll be surrounding her, at the very least. What are your thoughts on somebody kind of as young as Sadie Sink being cast on the role? Is that something that you're happy with now, knowing that if it hits on all cylinders and we love the franchise, we'll get lots of years out of her? Or do you think that this is almost too young in terms of the X-Men, and you would have liked to see somebody a little bit maybe more mature in the role, like we've seen in the past?
Can I?
6-figure focus.
Can I go on this one?
Yes, you can.
I think it's really good that they're choosing someone young. So let me correct me if I'm wrong, but sorry, my mic is giving me shit. We're past the 5-minute mark, aren't we?
Yep.
What am I doing here? It's just annoying. Sorry. So Jean Grey is you want an X-Men played by Famke Janssen, no? Mm-hmm. Would that be right?
Not necessarily. Yeah, that was who it was previously, right?
Yeah. That was one. She turns into Phoenix, yeah. Yeah, so I think it's good to cast someone so young, because she is so young that she's still literally growing up, and she's going to look different in like 2-3 years quicker than, say, someone who's in their 40s or whatever. Like, have you seen how, look at the difference between Stranger Things season 1 and look at them now. They're practically fully grown men and women. You know what I mean? I know that they're still very young, but they're not kids anymore, you know what I mean? But she's young enough, I think, that if they want to get 10 years out of her, she's, she will look older in a few years' time, but it's not going to be as, I just think it's a good thing.
That's fair.
If they're going to get a decade plus out of her.
Yeah, she's a beautiful person. She was obviously a really good actress so far. Everything I've seen her in has been great. In fact, I just watched The Whale for the first time the other day, the Brendan Fraser movie, and she's his daughter in that film.
Yeah, that movie is it's a hard watch, but it's a good
in a good way. But it was a bit depressing. But she was awesome. She was awesome.
Very good.
as always. And so I'm very excited. But I agree on the H piece. It gives some range and some dynamicness to how she can kind of change even physically over time, especially if she does have another progression towards Phoenix. Now, this will be the third time we've seen a Jean Grey on screen as well, though, right? What are you gonna say?
So they're gonna use Spider-Man 4 as an introduction to mutants, really. I know
Seems that way.
we've seen one or two little hints, like, you know what I mean, or not so little hints, whatever, in the MCU so far, but that'll be the first kind of named character besides obviously Wolverine, really. I think.
I think so, because I think Spider-Man 4 is set to come out before Doomsday, right? And before Secret Wars. So I think this will be, I think if it is set to come out before those two, then yes, seems to me that this will be the first kind of official, like, hey, mutants exist in the world, and there's one we recognize, and then Secret Wars, which I'm sure they will come out. What about you, Dave? I know you're a big X-Men fan. This is now the third time we're going to see a representation of Jean Grey on the big screen like this. Do you like the casting? What does this tell you about what we can expect from X-Men going forward?
Is that official? Because the last time I heard was yesterday.
It's been made official.
And they still, I mean, she's officially cast, but they've only been hinting at who she might play. I've not heard anything official say this girl is actually going to be Jean Grey. I've heard speculation that there's another Jean that we've already met in the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, who has been known in the comics to be a partner of Daredevil. Jean Foucault, something like that, some weird name, some French chick. And I'm wondering if maybe she's gonna be more like that, or if she even is a Jean to speak of at all, because there have been lots of speculation about who could be a young redhead in the Spider-Man sphere, right? Firestar comes to mind, another mutant who was part of Spider-Man's Amazing Friends, back in the old cartoon days. I've not heard officially that she's Jean. If she is, okay, that's weird, but all right. I mean, we've already, like you were saying, we've already had, mentions of mutants coming up. We saw Beast at the end of the Marvels. We found out that Miss Marvel is a mutant herself at the end of her show. So we've been seeing, little bits here and there. I don't think that it makes any kind of sense to have another lead in this next Spider-Man movie be one of the X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they could make the story work around that, but I'm just wondering, what the angle
You think it would
really
take the
is.
spotlight away from Tom Holland, you think?
I don't think it would take it away from him, not to the public at large. For the comic fans, probably. I like it better than the idea of her being Mary Jane.
Same.
And I am one person who has always been very upset by the erasure of Mary Jane in those movies. Sure, Michelle was great. I think she was a great character, but let's not make a whole new MJ, right? They even gave her the last name Watson. Come the fuck on, Feige. No. And
how he really felt.
And if we decided to bring in, well, here's your real Mary Jane now, that would be a shit show. That would be awful.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely don't need to do that. If it's Jean Grey, okay, that's cool. Maybe we're going into that whole thing about where they might have thought Spider-Man was a mutant, and that was a short-run little thing that happened way back in the day. And maybe we will introduce the X-Men that way. But I don't think that's the way they want to do it. I don't think that's the way to go about it. I don't know.
Yep. So 100%. I could be wrong. I may have read a wrong source.
I don't think she's going to be Jean Grey.
I thought I saw it in Variety. I could be wrong. But you know what, guys? This is why I give you guys the show sheet in advance. This is for all you fanalists.
Right, okay, people, you have to tell me these things, all right? I've been frozen for 30 years, okay? Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss. Need the info. Okay, no problem.
No problem. I probably fucked it up. It might be fake news.
Well, no, a lot of people are making the same guess. So you're not in poor company. Yeah. There are a lot of folks who are like actual scoopers who are making this, assumption, and it could be true, for all we know, and no one knows anything. So,
but when they do roll out the X-Men, when they do roll out the X-Men, because I think the MCU does need essentially ready-made, mostly for the most part, household names. Like Hugh Jackman is not going to play Wolverine forever. When they do roll out the official MCU's X-Men, I do think they should have younger people, because if they want to get a decade out of them. So my original point is the same, but I don't know. I strange move if they're going to put. I think it will take away from Spider-Man. I do think because it's a Spider-Man movie. Why can't a Spider-Man movie just be a Spider-Man movie? Jimmy?
Well, yeah, because she is a pretty big name actress, considering.
Yeah.
In there with him, right? So it is interesting. Classy, could be real news, could be fake news. Hard to say. Would you be happy to see a Sadie Sink as a Jean Grey, or maybe a Mary Jane Watson, or somebody along those lines? Or what are your thoughts on the casting possibility, at least?
Well, like what X-Man just said, I had forgotten about Firestar. And Firestar is also a mutant. So I think it would be kind of cool just having the introduction of some of these characters. However, if she is going to be Jean Grey, I like the idea of the younger X-Men, because maybe they could do it like when they created the new X-Men team in Giant Size X-Men #1. They could have young characters playing your Cyclops, your Jean, your Iceman, and then Professor X could go and recruit the new team to go and save them off of Krakoa. I'd love to see that on screen. So, I don't know. I think this has left me intrigued. I'm very intrigued by how they might use her. But I am excited to see this actress playing a role in the MCU, because she's very, very good at her job. And I think that whatever role she takes on, I think that she'll probably knock it out of the park.
Totally. So, Giant Size X-Men, seeing kind of the return of that storyline, and seeing Professor X kind of recruit that young team. That would be kind of where you'd really like to see them go on it. Yeah, I could see it too. And, again, especially if there's established powers in the world, it would help to answer for why X-Men haven't helped against, more world threats like Thanos in the past, for example. When people were asking where the X-Men were, I think it would make sense if they were just honestly too young at the time and have kind of grown into their powers and stuff. So yeah, interesting thoughts there for sure. Valkyrie, did you have any attachment to X-Men kind of over your lifespan? Are you excited to see what happens in the MCU going forward with these folks? Or are you starting to feel overwhelmed with just the serious amount of characters that we already have to try and focus on in the MCU?
Oh, sorry, was this for me?
Yeah, could you hear me?
Oh,
yeah, did you hear the question?
Yeah. All right. So I was actually a big X-Men fan, like in the 80s as a kid growing up. I read everything from like the Phoenix Saga to the Brood to going out to outer space and Starjammers and everything. So I'm like X-Men Supreme. Just totally just absorbed it and loved it all. I think, I'm not sure if she'll end up playing Jean Grey, but I think maybe, because remember in the original comic books from the 60s, the tagline for them was the strangest teens of all, or something like that, right? And so maybe like a young, like 14, 15-year-old Marvel girl, that might be kind of fun to watch, have like the audience grow to love her, get to like her, and then change from that to eventually older and maybe eventually become Phoenix, like in a movie 10 years down the road or something like that. That'd be kind of good way to like world build and set up like these stories for the future. Like maybe eventually get like a young Scott Summers, Hank McCoy when they're just like teens like this. I think that'll be a fun, good idea.
Yeah. But I mean, I would even still, like, it's hard because when I think about X-Men First Class, for example, I really enjoyed that film, and I liked the representation of Beast and Professor X, especially. The actor who played Magneto, I thought was cool, but they were almost too young, I feel like, in that. You know, like, I'd still want Professor X to be kind of still like an older person, right? Still like a senior level position, similar to what we see in X-Men, like the animated series, right? Where he's still young enough to be badass, but old enough to still be like a professor level character. Whereas in First Class, I felt like he was like much too young in there, and obviously these X-Men specifically would be far too young if he was that young. So I think it'll be interesting to see who could be cast in that Professor X role then as a result as well. And you know, like, I've seen Daniel Radcliffe put up as a possible Wolverine a few times because of his size, but that one picture that circulated for a while where he's all ripped and shit, like, you know, it'll be interesting to see.
You give any skinny actor enough steroids and they can look like Wolverine, you know. So
you could just glue on the hair like an arson figure.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
He was pretty scrawny when he first did it.
I did a quick yeah, that's true. That's true. If you watch first X-Men movie, he's not in the same condition he is in, say, like Days of Future Past. He's an absolute unit. But I just googled that there, Ben, and again, it's just there's a screen rant, so this could be absolute rumor mill nonsense. But they're saying it's a fan theory, but that it's Tobey Maguire's daughter, and that's going to be Spider-Girl. And because they do mention, I think Tom Holland has said he doesn't want to be playing Spider-Man in his 30s, and he's now 28. So by the time that movie comes out, he will be 30. So I've heard another rumor that he signed on for another trilogy, but I don't know.
Mayday Parker, interesting. Spider-Girl, that would be cool too. I'd take that. I'd take a Spider-Girl. Either way, I'm happy she's in some level of universe that we all appreciate. I think she will bring some emphasis to it. So hey, you know what? Good chat, guys. Next time, give me the info. The boss, you know, need the info. All those things, as Dr. Evil would say in advance. But I'm just kidding. You guys are amazing. I love you guys. Let's keep. Go ahead.
I was going to show you something here, Ben. What you really need is.
Oh, one sec.
Where it is. My cologne, Mojo.
That's awesome.
60% of the time, it works every time.
Yeah.
Smells like Bigfoot's dick.
You guys are too wild, honestly. Well, here, this is for you. This is for you, Valkyrie.
I also like to live dangerously.
That's a great scene.
Richie
Last entertainment news topic before we get into the 6-scale stuff. The 45 people here, I hope you're laughing along with us today and enjoying the show so far. Variety has reported District 9 and Chappie filmmaker Neil Blomkamp is set to write and direct a Starship Troopers reboot based on the 1959 sci-fi novel by Robert A. Heinlein that Paul Van Hoover brought to the big screen back in 1997. And then, of course, there was several sequels to that original film. To be honest, it's still a bit of a guilty pleasure movie for me. I will say that I remember when I watched this movie with my dad for the first time. We used to, I came from a split family, so every other weekend I would go back and forth to, varying parents' house. And, my dad was always like the cool dad, the cool parent, where he'd let me watch movies that I 100% shouldn't be watching at that age. Like all the old Steven Seagal action films and Jackie Chan movies, and then random filth like this. And this one in particular was awesome because not only are these guys up against giant man-eating bugs, but there were some pretty sexy scenes in a shower from my recollection. And Denise Richards, oh my goodness, was my celebrity crush for many, many years. This was a wildly ridiculous movie originally, but if this filmmaker coming from the likes of films like District 9 and Chappie think he has a way to put this to screen, I would actually be pretty stoked to see a reboot of this film. District 9 was so gritty and visceral and like real world feeling that I'd be curious to see what they would do with something like this storyline. I don't have to go to everybody on the panel on this one because I want to keep moving on, but is there anybody here that has any passionate thoughts on the possibility of seeing a new version of Starship?
Actually,
Troopers?
I do.
Eric? Yeah, no worries.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'll go to you first, buddy. Valkyrie first,
All right.
and then Classy.
Just a few things. One was in the book, Johnny Rico was supposed to be Filipino, so I was hoping, Filipino
Fair.
representation there. And then the
Yep.
other part was, so in the book, they actually wore like a little bit larger than Iron Man type armor. So it was actually like robotic armor what they wore, not just the hat and guns and shirts. But this actually was the inspiration for the series Gundam in Japan. Except they just made it
I did not know
a
that.
ton larger. So I was, just like hoping to get like, if they did it like in the actual book, that would be pretty awesome. Having like troopers like in battle armor, like can fly and all these weapons, like, and maybe even laser swords, just like in Gundam. But we'll see.
Hell yeah.
I think that might cost too much.
I'm gonna go.
What was
no?
What was that book called, by the way? Is it this one here? Same name. Is that the
Starship
sci-fi
Troopers.
novel?
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know that. I did not know that. What were you gonna say? Shane,
I'm just
and then
going
I'll
to
go to you,
go
Classic.
no on this, man, because okay, so Paul Verhoeven directed 1987 RoboCop, and he directed Starship Troopers as well. Now, Starship Troopers, I don't hold Starship Troopers in the same category as I hold RoboCop, but Starship Troopers, you can just throw it on. It's a guilty pleasure, and it does exactly what it says in the tin. And it's it's ridiculous, but it's enjoyable to watch, and yeah.
It's smart
But,
with some of the humor too. Some of the
It's
stuff they get
it's
in
got
there.
that I'd buy that for $1 kind of satire or whatever. But then like they remade the 1987 RoboCop. And look how that turned out. And then like this whole I'm sorry, man. The District 9, that's like the prawns, isn't it?
Yeah.
The prawns. I watched that once and I never watched it again. I didn't
What?
like it.
It was an awesome movie.
I didn't care for
Oh,
Chappie either, man. I don't think I like this
That's fair.
director's
I only watched
style.
Chappie once.
And I don't necessarily think everything needs a reboot. Some things should be just left alone. Get new ideas. Get original ideas. Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
I
Even though
agree.
like this would have been a steal from that book too, right? Back in the day. But I know what you're
But
trying
that's
to say.
a movie interpretation.
We've already
You know what
seen
I
it
mean?
on screen. Yeah.
And a good director doesn't necessarily have to take the game or the comic book or the movie, the novel page for page. It's an interpretation. It's not. I don't think it's the director's job to go, "Oh, this is how it is in the movie." They can pick and choose, and But I don't know. Does it need? I thought they did a good enough job with the first movie. I don't think they should do it again. Because what's going to happen is a lot of the stuff that we liked when we were kids is being rebooted now. And do you think that this generation is going to care enough about the nostalgia reboots, which aren't as good in 20 years? I don't think so. So it's like our memories, member berries, nostalgia, things that we care about, our culture, because it's been rebooted, and the teenagers are watching it now. It's kind of watered down. I don't think they'll look back as fondly. I'm not sure. I don't think someone's going to look at someone who's 16 now, 17, seeing Afterlife is going to look back as fondly in 20 years' time at Afterlife as say someone who's looking back in Ghostbusters 1 2.
That's an interesting thought. Yeah. Chat, while we're chatting, let us know if there's any films you think that have happened in the last even 10 years that will have that staying power, like a Ghostbusters, like a Back to the Future, like even this original ridiculous Starship Troopers film that has some nostalgia attached, Terminator, right? So many things we're going back to on Shrek 5, right? I was going to talk about that last week, but I had to take the show off. But people are freaking out about the animation style of Shrek 5, like why change a good thing and all of those things. Classy, you have some thoughts though. Sorry to interrupt you, buddy.
That's all right. Yeah, I was just saying that I think that I agree with Shane that why not come up with some original material? The problem that I see with this is that Starship Troopers, of course, I believe was made back in the 80s, wasn't it? Was it the 80s or the 90s?
No,
97 was when this. Yeah,
Was it
97 was
97?
when this one came to. Yeah,
Okay.
Which I mean is still getting close to 30 years ago at this point.
Yeah, and that was a time when a lot of sci-fi stuff was still presented in a very campy style. And that's what made it kind of a guilty pleasure, fun thing to watch. I have a problem with these some of these reboots, they take this material and they try to make it too serious. It's almost like taking peanuts. No offense to the nuts, but taking Charlie Brown and trying to turn that into Shakespeare. You can't. What was that quote in Victor Victoria? It's like trying to ask a prostitute to sing. Asking a nun to be a prostitute. And you just can't. Some things you just can't reboot into something else. So, I think leave it alone.
Sounds like a challenge, honestly.
Come up with a new concept and give us new material. That's what's exciting. New material that we've not seen before. But I think writers today have gotten very lazy. They just want to take old material and try to rehash it because it's easy. But it's not that appealing to moviegoers, in my opinion.
It's interesting because I challenge both of you guys on that a little bit. There's a lot of films that get released every year that are original ideas that nobody goes to watch. Just nobody goes to see it. The downfall with the way the world is nowadays is everything costs so much more money to do. And there are things like algorithms that show what is popular amongst wide varieties of fan bases, right? Who are the people who currently have the money to spend? Does the younger generation even still go to theaters as much as they once did, right? I don't know about you guys. I've noticed a serious uptick of people on their phones scrolling TikTok while in theaters lately because the attention span of the world is changing. There was a time where going to the movies, and there still is for a lot of us, going to the movies was a time to relax, time to disconnect from social media, time to take yourself and put your brain in a different world for 2 hours. But nowadays, I think that attention span has really changed. I see it on the YouTube algorithms, right? Shorts do incredibly well that are 15 seconds or less. Anything longer than 15 seconds, it immediately crashes off in terms of engagement. Shows like Let's Get Nuts, we average about 1,000 views in a week, which is awesome for a 2.5 hour long show. But in terms of the analytics, only about 28 minutes of this show gets actually viewed across 1,000 people that tune in, right? And so the point of that is that I think when the studios bank on movie ideas, they bank on the fact that the folks that they're hoping to appeal to are kind of in our generation, which means these are some of those films that will stand out to us and go, I'd give that a try. I'll go watch it. I'll pay the ticket price, versus the folks who are up and coming in the world who may just decide to wait for this to hit streaming. And so I do think that there are a lot of originals every year that don't get viewed. The Creator was one sci-fi movie that I actually really enjoyed that virtually nobody went and saw, which could have spawned a beautiful universe. Nobody saw it,
and I didn't think it was good.
You did. Some people didn't like it, so there you go. Yeah,
I have to counter your point. I have to counter your counter.
I'm good with that. Let's do it.
TikTok is just the modern version of like what's popular, whatever.
Sure.
This isn't news. Vincent van Gogh, I only found this out the other day. He only sold one painting in his entire life, and it was to a close friend. So I imagine that friend just wanted to help him out. But it didn't stop him painting, and he painted over 800 paintings in his life. And they weren't appreciated until after. Shawshank Redemption, I believe, didn't do great at the box office because no one could pronounce the name, and no one wanted to go see it. Like, you know what I mean? If they called it something different, but might have made it more attractive, whatever. So like, it comes down to that. Like, do you want to make art something that mightn't be appreciated straight away, but people might find in a few years from now, or maybe it is appreciated. You strike gold. Do you want to make art or do you want to make money? And I think maybe a lot of the studios, they just want to make money. And I suppose when you have like producers and studios who back someone with a good idea, and that artist is given free reign, it works out, and you have that, like, I don't know, lightning in a bottle. I know it doesn't happen that often, but I don't think the, like, what's popular and, like, the attention span of people is limited now, but I think art has always had its challenges. Like, it's like, you know, does the artist want to, it's the same as music. Like, does a band want to make the music that they want to make, and they might have 30 people turn up to their gig, or they want to go, you know what, let's just like do intro and then verse chorus and double up the chorus and finish and have it under 3 minutes, and you know, it's a good formula, and we might get on the radio and it might be absolute trash, but they might become famous, or they want to go, let's make a bloody, I know, 7-minute opus or whatever. Like, so I don't think it's any I don't think it's any different now. I think it's just there's different challenges. The challenges manifest themselves in different ways, and one of the ways is intentions, man. I don't think it's an excuse for bad writing.
No, I agree with that aspect of it, especially on the bad writing side. It's interesting because I do think otherwise we're talking about almost the same thing. We're at least running relatively parallel, because I agree that art has suffered from that issue for a long time, and yet, as I said, there is still a money aspect involved there as well, right? What's going to give guaranteed dollars is something that we recognize versus something that we don't necessarily recognize. We talk about it in 6 scale a lot, right? Why are we getting another Iron Man, another Spider-Man, another Stormtrooper, another something we have had so many of, versus those one-off characters? I'd love a random ass character out there. You see those request lists, right? Whenever InArt says, "What character do you want us to make next?"
Apparently, J&D Joker Jameson is
yeah, right. He's pretty up there for people. But if the company who's starting up, or the company who's been established for a while, doesn't necessarily see the value, we're not going to see it until they've made some money doing it elsewhere. I think it's one of the biggest reasons that, you know, companies like InArt still are continuing to give us things that we've already had from other companies so far, because they needed to show that they could get the money for it before they're allowed to make a little bit more strategic or different decisions, potentially. I could be wrong, but it's interesting food for thought, that's for sure. We got another guest in the backstage here with us. We got Pete from Only Fools and Collecting, a division of Collecting Weekly, in the house with us. Good to see you, buddy. How you doing, man?
Dude, you've changed your clocks, or we've changed our clocks. Something's happened.
We changed our clocks a week ago.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like an hour late then. I was thinking
okay.
10 o'clock UK time. Okay, well, better late than never.
I was wondering where you were.
See you guys. Classy. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I thought you just pulled a Dean the Dream and just like passed out in the middle of the afternoon and just decided not to show up.
I was just like, yeah, 10 o'clock. Okay, well, we'll catch you up in a couple of weeks when we change ours again. So
that's
Good to
interesting.
see
No
you.
worries.
Good to see you, Pete.
Pete, we were just
Yeah, you too,
discussing.
Classy.
We were just discussing the art of film, and how, you know, here we go again with another reboot of something like Starship Troopers. Some of the guys here are feeling like, man, why do we keep going back to the same well over and over and over again? My argument there was it's recognizable IP. There's a bit of an investment piece from these, you know, studios. Maybe it's safer money. But then Shane made some great points about how art has always struggled with this, and how, you know, films like Back to the Future back in the day when it was pitched wasn't necessarily something that they thought was going to be the mega icon that it is, you know, 30 years later, right? And all the years since. So what are your thoughts on a Starship Troopers reboot and all those thoughts?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think it's one of those movies that was great. Got great memories of it. It was, you know, some good violence and gore and stuff, because Paul Verhoeven loves that kind of stuff. And obviously we all remember the co-ed shower scenes, which were, you know, good stuff back in the day. I think they could do it. I think I haven't watched it for a while, and I think for its day it was pretty good. But I wouldn't mind a remake. I think they could do some pretty cool stuff now, and Neil Blomkamp has that kind of pedigree that you could kind of have it shot like a, you know, like body cam footage kind of thing.
Real
feel. No, I'd be up for it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Guys, let us know in the comments, especially if you're watching on replay, what are your thoughts on kind of the discussion today with regards to film, going back to the well over and over? Is there a strategy that we're missing here when we talk about this potentially that is worthy of discussion in future shows? Of course, love to hear from you guys in the comments. But guys, we have over 50 people watching live today, getting nuts with us here on Sunday. And of course, it sounds like a few folks in the chat were like, I didn't know the clocks changed. So I apologize. Maybe I should have given more notice for the show. Yeah. We will be back on track with it in the next few. Don't worry about it. Of course, some housekeeping, guys. We do have, of course, a channel membership here on the Ben Thomas Show, critically known as the Tough Nut Crew. Everybody who is a Tough Nut member right now, there's about 45 of us at the moment. We all have one of these badges beside our name. The longer you progress as a member, the cooler your badge, in my opinion, gets. But we also have some membership emojis that are in there now, as well as the this or that. So if you're kind of in between on thinking on one of our points, feel free to throw this guy in the chat as well. But the Tough Nut Crew, as I said, we have just over 40 people here now, including a couple, a special shout out. Was it? I can't remember. Oh, it was 16fix that purchased 5 guest memberships for folks last show we had. So those are the 5 people on the far side there, and I'll read your names at the end of the show. But of course, I hope that you guys enjoy the membership and stick around with it as well. I am also open to suggestion. If anybody has some ideas for who are on the channel membership already, other than giveaways, maybe town halls. We've got, 40, almost 50 people here now, where we could do private live streams, open mics, whatever you want. So keep me open on that in terms of ideas, and I will definitely consider them all. But let's say hi, of course, to everybody in the chat, as we always do.
Is that everyone? I keep wanting more.
Nuts!
Assemble.
Nuts assemble. Good to see you guys here. We got Mike Sith Scale Collector in the chat with us. Good to see you, buddy. Make sure you check out Mike's Adventure World on Instagram. He is actually making me, or trying to make me, a Let's Get Nuts lit up sign for when I'm live on the show. I'm going to have it right in behind me here if I can. Sounds like it's proving to be a pretty difficult print, though. He said it's the bane of his existence. So go and check out Mike's Adventure World for upcoming prints. He's an awesome dude and awesome stuff there. We got Valkyrie Magnus here with us on the panel as well and in the chat. Of course, we got Gio, the movie canon, on the show with us as well. Good to see you, buddy. Gio, we got to get you back here soon, man. It would be great to have you back here. Let us know as well if you're doing your evening show tonight, and we can mention that to folks on their way out the door, of course. We got King Ding-a-ling with the Buckies, of course, as well. Good to see you, my friend. Happy to have you here, of course. We got X-Men Supreme both in the chat as well as on the panel. Good to see you, buddy, as always. We got my mom, Rachel Miller, in the chat. Love to see her here as well. The person who is directly responsible for why I am such a nerd. I am confident of it, especially on the Star Trek side of life. We got 16 Figure Focus here on the chat as well as in the panel. Good to see you here. I'm going to pump Shane to the bottom because he's taking a pee break. You love to see it. We got SG Collectibles in the chat with us. What's up, everyone? Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for being here as always, my friend. 12-inch Moose Stream in the chat with us. Good to see you, buddy, as well. He is on our channel membership and everything as well. One of the Bub Nuts. Love to see it. We got Tijuana Mike, aka King Chiro. Happy Sunday, collectors. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for being here as always. Once I say hi to everybody here today, guys, we are going to jump in, of course, to the figure news. Of course, let's see here. We got a Quick Nut, a Serendipity, Bite-sized Ben. I kind of like that one, actually. That's a fun one. Quick and Sweet. Love to see it as well. There was a few others here that I'll re-bring up. Bite-sized Nut is one that gets me for sure. We got Batman _collectibles in the chat with us as well. We already read his comment, but good to see you here as well. Summers fan, give the dudes a thumbs up if you haven't already, dude. Thank you for reminding everybody. I appreciate that. Chris Porteous, love to see you here, buddy. Hopefully we can get you back on the show here pretty soon as well. Thalia Meyer in the chat with us as well. Good to see you as always, my friend. And Pop Culture Relics, PCR Pop Culture Relics, he is getting that J&D Joker in hand that we're going to talk about here shortly. So as soon as he's willing to bring it on, we're going to get his thoughts here live and uncut on Let's Get Nuts, of course. Mark P in the chat with us. Happy Sunday, everybody. Good to see you there as well, my friend. Let's see here. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody fair is fair, of course. Jose Plus, there he is, of course, after I needed you, Jose. You hate to see it. Very late to the show. Now, Jose did invite me to his show yesterday morning. I still have a hard time saying it there, but I want to say it's Meso Menos. Oh man, I'm messing that up. But it was on 166's YouTube channel. If you missed it, it was a really cool Shark Tank episode there. Where they kind of compete to give the best pitch for a figure. And I really enjoyed watching that later in the afternoon when I got home from the mountains. So great show there. Field of Burn in the chat with us. What's up, everyone? We've invited Field of Burn to come into one of our upcoming Let's Get Nuts shows. He's been added to our Let's Get Nuts show sheet. So at some point you will see him here hanging out with us as well, with all the boys. We got Mike Latoris in the chat with us. He's like, it's like watching Let's Get Nuts while you're trying to eat some nuts and thinking, if you chew slow enough, you might make peanut butter. Never thought about it that way, but yeah, you might do. Let us know how that goes, buddy. We got Blue Tattoo in the chat with us. Hey, everyone. Good to see you here. Valkyrie Magnus, of course, just in case I didn't shout you out, since you're here as well in the chat. We got Collection Obsession in the chat with us as well. I didn't know Canada changes the time, too. We do, and it's a pain in the ass. I dragged my butt to work every single day last week. It was horrible. We got Big Rip in the chat, as Dean would say. Love to see it. X-Men celebrating 11 months almost above that. Once you achieve it, I hope you don't leave. We got Mr. Aaron Articulates in the chat with us as well. Good to see you, buddy. He says, every evening, everyone. Hey, Pete, have a rant for me, as always. Once again, if you have not had a chance to see Aaron Articulates on YouTube, one of our guest panelists here every once in a while, hilarious British dude. Totally a great show. And he took a video of his young daughter saying, come on, let's get nuts, in a cute British accent, which he's given us permission to use as part of our show. So I will take the soundbite out of that pretty soon and add it here for everybody. Of course, we got Peter Cass in the chat as well as on the panel now with us. Good to see you here. SpongeBob SquareBalls. And I think that's it. I think we got everybody. If I miss you, let us know, guys. I don't want to do that. Oh, 12-inch Moose Dream. So celebrating 14 months, dude. Damn, that's amazing. It says, please raise the amount of letters allowed before I get cut off. I don't know how to do that. I will figure that out. I've never had to look into it. Nobody wants to write that big of comments to me, I guess. You hate to see it. Guys, let's move on here. This popped up on Facebook, which literally made me just laugh out loud when I saw it. We're, of course, looking at a Scarlet Witch. And this person posted up on Facebook, so shout out to them. The Rory Velez says, funny pics of the day to go to this Instagram, alley.mysterybox. Is it wrong that I'm liking this figure more and more as the days go on? And we're not going to talk about this figure specifically, but I was curious, just to get us warmed up for 6 scale, what my panel has in terms of the worst figure they've ever received in their collection. Maybe something that they thought was going to be good, and it turned out that it was kind of just not so great. Valkyrie, I'll start with you, buddy. What's one figure that you've picked up that you were just not all that happy with?
It sounds kind of funny, but it was actually the Mandalorian Super Commando. It was just had like almost no accessories, just the backpack, no like fire exhaust from the jetpack, and a gun. And I was thinking, well, this thing is about the same price as like other figures with a lot of other accessories, like for example, Kane, who had had a face sculpt, glasses, sword, gun, and then this thing, of course, didn't have a face sculpt or head sculpt, and it just felt kind of cheap for a higher price. I mean, I liked it; it looks great with my other Mandalorians, but it just felt like it should have cost less for the amount of effort and work they put in that figure. But
That's fair.
yeah, I decided to still keep it, because I actually did get it on sale anyway. So
There you go. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Pete, you've been collecting for a long time. Guaranteed you've had at least one figure that you got in that you were like, oh man, this isn't that. Could even be a custom, maybe, of a character that because I know you've worked customs as well, but anything that stands out for you?
It's difficult, really. I was trying to think of anything that was awful. I think an interesting one that I
Jesus.
which became a figure that I got in, which everybody decided was like a growl and went for stupid money, was the Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, I thought everything was fantastic about the figure, the clothes, the body, or the accessories. Just wasn't a fan of that head sculpt. And obviously that became one of the grails, and they were going for stupid money for £500. And then obviously now a lot of people are swapping that head out for the one that came with the Mandalorian disguise one, which is better. I still don't see a lot of Ewan McGregor. I've got a really nice Inigo custom sculpt on that figure now, and I absolutely love it. But yeah, I passed that one on because I just didn't like that head sculpt.
Interesting. Yeah, totally makes sense. Classy, what about you, buddy? Have you ever received a figure that stood out to you as being like, man, this was just not what I was expecting?
Yeah. I've actually had 2 Hot Toys and 2 sideshows. The 2 Hot Toys were Cyborg and the 73 Wolverine. That one I just got in, and I was just very disappointed in the fact that the arms were shiny. They looked kind of like cheap plastic to me, and I was really disappointed in that figure. And then the 2 sideshows were the I think the Clone Wars Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Like the animated ones?
The animated ones, yeah. They were a little disappointing, but out of all of them, I think that if I needed to part with one, the only one that I could see myself parting with will be the Wolverine. And I love Wolverine. So that's why I was so disappointed. It's because he's my favorite figure. And he's one of my favorite characters. And I was just disappointed when I got it, because I was like, I waited for this. Why are his arms so shiny? Looks like somebody rubbed him down with Vaseline or something. I mean, what the actual hell?
Or you just didn't wash the Vaseline off your hands before you handled it, Classy.
It was still in the
I see
package.
you over there. I see you over there. It was
still in the package before I opened it.
Horrible. I actually found more love with that figure when I did take his jacket off, even though it's a beautiful jacket, and put rolled up the black shirt, so his seamless arms are sticking out. I did like that more, but I agree they were a little on the shiny side for sure. Dave, what about you, man? Has anything ever come to your collection where you were like, oh man, this is not what I was expecting?
Well, not really. I've got 56 figures currently. I just moved one out. But there's only 2 that come to mind, and really it's not that they were disappointing, but I got the black suit, the arena suit Boba Fett. That's a great looking figure, but he just doesn't look as good as he does in the promo images, right? The lighting that they use, the background and everything, I would have to recreate that whole thing to make him really shine, and he just doesn't, in the regular lighting that I've got going on, and he's great and all, but that was one of those where I was just getting in. I was really hyped about that one thing because it was really cool, and I really didn't need him, so it's really on me that he was disappointing. But also, as good as a figure as it was, the so-so Mr. Knight, the Gentle Moon, and partially because he started getting a little yellow, but mostly because that can be fixed, I'm pretty sure, but mostly because not long after I finally got him, after he was, delayed for so long, then Hot Toys decides they're going to make one. That was the one I wanted to start with. So I was mad as hell. I was so mad. But that's really it. I mean, it's not that they were bad figures at all. Just, my particular circumstance regarding them was not ideal.
That's fair. And it's interesting you mentioned it too. because, or like one of you guys mentioned in terms of like getting it for sale, I think it was you, Valkyrie. The worst one that stands out for me was a First Order Stormtrooper. I had already had the Return of the Jedi Stormtrooper and the Shadow Trooper in hand, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool to get, a First Order one just to kind of show the evolution of the trooper in the collection. I mean, I know there's a lot more that I could have got from, but at the time it was available, and I found it online for like a wildly low price. And then I really disliked that figure. I couldn't pose it without the feet popping off or the hands falling off. Like, just any direction I would change, something would fall on the floor. It was not very posable at all. It felt really cheap in hand. I really disliked it. And so I ended up parting ways with that one. But that's the one that really stands out for me. 1/6 figure focus, Shane, I know you are extremely strategic usually in your purchase decisions, especially when it comes to 6 scale. Have you ever had kind of a blooper or stain on the record, something that you thought was going to be better, and then you got it in hand and you were not that happy with it?
The DX02. So that was the
wow.
before the latest armory, and the armory before that armory, and the DX19, and the DX12. There was the DX02, and it was rubber. Like, the whole suit was rubber, and if you compare it to the DX19, it's like a neoprene undersuit, and there's different panels that are segmented, stuck onto it, similar to the way in the movie. The whole thing is that, like, the separated panels, although it gives them increased movement, leaves them more susceptible to knives and gunfire. But the DX02 was just rubberized with the details kind of like sketched on, or like molded on, not sketched, molded. So it was awful. Couldn't pose properly. The cape was your typical Hot Toys cape, which is not good. Sure. The ankles were poor. Couldn't hold a pose. The face wasn't particularly good either. It was very disappointing because it's my favorite suit, my favorite movie, and it just was poor. So I was delighted with the DX19. Maybe that's why as much as the DX19 isn't perfect, I'm just like, hey, it's not that bloody DX02. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, that's interesting. Well, and that's a good segue, Shane. And I'm just going to stick with you on this one, Shane, if that's okay to the rest of the panel, because I do want to move on to the J&D Joker. Morfig from InArt has also given their 1/12 option. I did not expect that, Pete. That threw me out. That's awesome. Yeah, their 1/12 scale Dark Knight figure, Christian Bale likeness here, of course. And then we have a couple representations of Christian Bale likeness, both in the 1/4 scale, the DX19, my figure that I still have behind me, which is the DX12, which, to be honest, I still personally like the most in terms of a likeness to Christian Bale. But I know that's a bit of a hot topic. And then Jackson Jew has also provided an opportunity to get a custom sculpt of the Dark Knight Rises Batman coming soon with rolling eyes. So I was curious, I'll go with just Pete and Shane on these ones. What were your thoughts, Pete? I'll start with you on the InArt, since you're passionate. 1/12 scale here and the likeness to Christian Bale, as well as the opportunity to now buy a custom sculpt from Jackson once again.
I'm probably not the right person to talk to because I'm not a massive. I know this is. I love.
Pete, do you have eyes? Look at these. Look at these.
They're all dreadful. Is that the right answer? They're all terrible.
It might be.
Oh God.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know what? You left out the worst one, Ben.
I know.
I would say I think the 1/4 scale should be the best one, but it's not. I genuinely think the DX19 is the best one out of this bunch. It's not the Morfig. I don't know. No, but it's the 1/4 scale should be the best one because it's bigger and there's more surface area and they could get the detail. But it's not. The Morfig, okay, it's about 12 scale, so you might give it a bit of a pass for that. But that's Christian Bale's dad. And then the DX, I think the 19 is actually better than the 12, but I still don't think they've nailed the likeness in that. But you left out the worst one, Ben. The worst one is that terrible Armory one. He looks dead. It looks like in American Psycho when he peels his face mask on. It's that, but the face mask is on. That's what that thing looks like. It is
the
not
one
a
where
good
he's crossing his arms.
I will die on that hill, man. Fair. I'm sorry, but like he it's like
he's very
no,
very gaunt. Yes. That's fair. Okay,
What we're
no,
saying is
that's valid.
we're still waiting for the definitive Christian Bale head sculpt.
Still
I
waiting
think
for the definitive. That's a nice.
Apparently,
way to
Ian and I
say it.
are going to do it. Where is it?
Yeah.
Where is
so-
it?
I don't hate this one though for a 1/12. I do think the 1/12 figure does look pretty good, especially for the scale. It's by far the best representation of Christian Bale in that size. 100, like, hands down.
Oh, in that
100%
size.
is.
In that size.
In that size.
Okay.
In that size.
I thought you meant on
Yes.
this picture. These pictures.
But people are saying, the reason I added it to the 6 scale news is I have seen several people out there in the YouTube sphere and the community saying that it's better than the likeness in the 6 scale representations, and I do disagree.
I
with
disagree
that.
too.
So that's why I was curious.
Looks like a cool
what
figure
you
though.
guys thought.
Looks like a cool figure.
Yeah, totally. And then, of course, we do have Jackson Chu, as I said, giving us that cowl option. So if you don't want to replace the whole figure and you just think that you can get a better sculpt of the cowl look, I think this is a great option. I've had the DX12 modded with the original Armory head sculpt for years. That's still the one that's up above me. And I really liked that mod. And what I have enjoyed about Jackson, at least, is he is going through 1/6 kit now, or you can message him directly. But I've dealt with him directly a couple times, where I will say, just cautionary tale, he is a little bit slow to get this stuff out to you, whether you go through 1/6 kit or you go through him directly. It's a slow process. And there are some times where he'll overpromise a little bit. He'll say, "Oh, I'm shipping it out next week," and then like a month goes by and he still hasn't shipped it out. You do eventually get it. It's always really good quality. But the first time I dealt with him, I was worried I was getting scammed, honestly, at first. So if you are new to collecting and you're interested in going that route, I would say at least go through 1/6 kit, where your money can be a little bit, feel a little bit safer, anyways. But the wait will be long for this. But I did get the Jackson XU or Jackson Chu Batman Begins cowl to go on my shitty Hot Toys representation, and it's taken that figure to an entirely different level. It looks so much better than when it started. So it's a good option for sure. Now, we do have one final special guest here with us in the show today to show off something cool. We got Philly Figurecraft here in the show with us, buddy. How are you doing, my friend? Good to see you.
Good. It's been a long time. How are we doing, everybody?
Hey,
Shane, Heat,
Okay.
Classy,
Great to
it's
see
always a pleasure to see you. X-Men and Valkyrie. This is the first time I'm going to be streaming with you, but I've known you for a while, so welcome,
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. Now, I know, Philly, you volunteered today. You were like, hey, I see you got a big panel, pretty decent sized show sheet. But if there's a chance to peek in real quick, you wanted to show us something. Can you give us a bit of a preamble as to what you're about to show us? And then I'll pull you up on the big screen.
Yeah. Do you have that picture I sent you? I know. I believe Netflix and MGM Studios they acquired the rights for not only James Bond, but they acquired the rights of He-Man, and they're actually doing a film, a reboot film from the original '80s, and it's looking pretty good. I like to keep my hopes high because we haven't really gotten a really justification of a film that will kind of resemble the cartoon and the comics and all that stuff. So it has promise. There's a picture that kind of like a sneak peek they did of the sword, the power sword, and you could tell that he is pretty much to the core like the cartoon. So were you able to pull that shirt?
I didn't get it in the thing,
okay,
but I'm going to see
problem.
if I can pull it up on the back side
But
here.
it's okay because what I brought here today is I've been such a big He-Man fan that I've made my own custom. Mondo made 1/6 scale figure, but it was a too animated for me. I went more with a realistic. There you go. There you have the photo
This
of
is
the
sword he
sneak
was talking
peek.
about.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what I ended up doing is I kit bashed my own figure with more of realistic head sculpt. I rooted the hair, or it's like implementation with it, and give him a kind of like a modern hair look, which happens to actually look like the actor in the movie, the hair look. And then
That's awesome.
I did a diorama last week because I got the figure,
So
and yeah. And there's a reason why I did the diorama is because I'm all, when I get into something, I really get into it and I get really excited. So I got an email from Mondo, and there was this piece, 1/6 scale piece that I've been wanting to get since 2018. And I think I passed on it. And I ended up regretting it, but it was a beautiful piece that I was able to get an email on the waitlist conversion. Can you believe that? 4 or 5 years afterwards. And it's a little
Crazy.
big, but let me,
Let's check this out. I'm going to put you full screen again here, buddy.
this guy. just came in
Oh,
right
nice. The
Whoa.
battle
on my
cat.
birthday.
Hell
So,
yes.
That's effing
Hell
beautiful.
yes.
Oh my
and
gosh.
this, I mean, everybody grew up in the 80s, 90s, and you watching him, man, you recognize this bad guy right here.
Ah,
And
damn.
he is a bad mofo in person. Mondo did an excellent job. And what better way is to use my custom He-Man with that. And I kind of spruced him out a little bit, repainted him, and got him updated and built a diorama. So literally,
awesome.
I am a 6-year-old kid right now.
That's
Classic.
amazing.
You can contest to that, right? Remember when they had the cartoon and they had the kids playing with the Gray Skull set?
Castle Grayskull.
That's so great.
Yeah.
This is
But
not
it's
the one-
mine.
Now, is that the He-Man's fire, or is that Skeletor's?
He-Man's. He-Man's.
That was He-Man's.
Yeah, Panther is Panther. It's not
Skeletor's.
mistaken it by Panthro. It's Panther, and it's like a more like a purple black panther, a similar style. And they did also Mondo did make that one, and it had like really cool big ram horns. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I just want to share my excitement here. I did the diorama. It's all styrofoam, painted it, weathered. It even has a working wood door you can open and close, and
That's
you can see right here.
decent.
Nice.
Awesome.
So are you going to use it for like forced perspective shots then, Philly?
Yeah,
Or like are you
yeah.
thinking something like that?
Yeah, this was inspired by a recent Iron Studios 1/10 scale figure from He-Man they did recently, and it's very similar to that. They did like a forced perspective because they can't fit the whole gray skull in the background, so they did like a forced perspective with the figure, a 1/10 scale figure in there. So that was the inspiration where I got that. So I said, well, I'll just do one for the 1/6 scale. So
That's awesome.
But yeah, very excited about the movie. Hopefully they do good.
so
You know, having few actors, you know, they announced, I believe, Jared Leto as Skeletor. I don't know if he's going to be like in makeup or CG, but
You have to
we'll
be,
keep,
yeah.
we'll
Or makeup
keep
or
our
CG
hopes
at
high.
least, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Idris
for sure.
Elba is Man at Arms, which he could play a good Man at Arms.
Yeah.
It's just not the right, you know, person, but it's the right, you know, actor for it. I'm sure he'll do a great job. So I'm looking forward to that. And let's just think of this. I mean, if you guys are fans of He-Man, if this does good, this could open the door for other franchises that have been long waited. I mean, you know, I think Voltron's coming up soon with the movie, and then who knows if it does well, Thundercats. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
We could have a Thundercats, long awaited. So let's cross our fingers. Hopefully it does well. But yeah, I just wanted to share with this, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah, dude. Thank you for sharing
That's
your excitement
cool.
with us. Feel free to stick around if you still want to hang out, but of
Yeah,
course,
I'll stick
you're
around.
welcome to stay or go. But
I'll be
but
incognito.
yeah,
and I'll stick around.
that's cool, man. That's really, really cool. And yeah, thanks for sharing that with us, buddy. That's very, very awesome. Say thanks to Philly in the chat for us, guys, if you can. Special
Yeah.
guest
So-
here in the show, sharing his
Yeah,
passion.
just
Love to
really
see it.
quick. I'm really excited that I'm close. I'm about 15 subscribers from Instagram to 1,000
Nice.
subscribers, and about 250 subscribers for 2,000
Hell
on
yeah, dude.
YouTube. So I couldn't have
Hell
done
yeah.
it without you, buddy. You've been kind of my inspiration. So thanks, Shane. You too, buddy. Like you guys kind of set the stage, and you got other guys that are kind of starting a little later, kind of motivated. And thank you for all your content and what you guys do in the community. I appreciate you guys.
You there is nothing I can do compared to that Matrix diorama you set up with
That
the
thing was
photos.
wild.
That is one
Thank
of the
you.
most mind-blowing things I've ever seen.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
All 6
That was
photography.
phenomenal.
I saw
Yeah.
that and I didn't believe what my eyes were seeing. That's why I reposted a message. You
Shane, if you
there's
keep
nothing-
buttering me up, I may build a RoboCop scale 6 scale car for you.
Bring out
Okay,
that
keep
butter
buttering him
knife,
then.
man.
Keep buttering him.
Yeah.
Challenge
Better about
accepted.
If you haven't checked it out, go onto his Instagram and look for the Matrix.
Yeah.
It's like a reel and a post and
Thank
stuff
you.
like that. It's so good.
Thank you,
We're
guys.
almost at
Appreciate the
60
love.
people here, so there's got to be 15 people out there who have not followed Philly on Instagram. Please do so. Figurecraft Instagram. Let's get him up to that 1,000. You said 1,000, eh? That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
I've been
you.
stuck at 600 for like 6 months. I just have no Instagram presence at all. I gotta work on that shit. So I should take some inspiration from you, buddy. But yeah,
you. I
no,
appreciate
that's- That's awesome. Hell yeah. Guys, let's keep moving on with the show here. We got lots of Silk Stale news still I want to chat about, including J&D Joker. We're going to talk about Caustic Plastic a little bit, especially on that Crow side. I do want to talk briefly about Mr. Freeze as well as Hono. So stick around here. We've got about 45 more minutes left of the show. This is a slide that I actually took from a previous Let's Get Nuts show. I lost the slideshow at the time, so I literally went and just did a screen grab. So I apologize if anybody who is watching this on their big-ass televisions in their living room. It's probably a little grainy. But I showed this about 2 months ago on Let's Get Nuts, because at the time, the point that I wanted to make was that there's now been several licensed options for the Joker, Heath Ledger, and all of them look very different considering. But in my opinion, they all look like Heath from some aspect of the film. You can see there that on the absolute far left side, that's the custom that I've been looking at getting, in kind of combination with some scenes from the Joker and some images. And then, of course, we got the Artisan Joker, which, you know, hair issues aside, hopefully that's a small percentage. Hopefully that doesn't affect everybody. Doesn't seem like it will, but hopefully it won't. Artisan figure hair issues aside, most people are really, really loving that figure. The in-art figure, which I still think is a great Joker representation. Not the greatest likeness, I will admit. I keep him staring kind of almost at the floor, kind of like looking at the side of his eyes, which to me brings the likeness out of him enough. But you can see in that jail cell scene, it looks pretty good to that representation. And then, of course, we came to that wildly overpriced J&D variant of Joker as well, which looks a little bit more like the Streets, image of Joker there. A little dirtied up, weathered, and sweaty, right? And so now at the time, J&D, when they had come out with their price tag, people said that's freaking ridiculous. Nobody's going to pay that. I was dumb enough to put my money in on a pre-order through 16kit. And then when the figure started getting kind of slowly released to a few creators out there, I got a chance to see what that figure was going to likely look like in hand, and I was not happy. For the $1,600 American I was spending, that was going to take me well over $2,000 with the Canadian conversion, which is a lot for a figure. But if it's the absolute best figure I've ever seen in my life, I would have still probably kept it, even still, despite the crazy price tag. But it just wasn't. And so I canceled it. I lost my $200 NRD with 16kit, which is fair. That's just the price of doing business. If you cancel in an order, you got to expect you're going to lose a little bit. But then J&D turned around and took it off the table again, recalled it to a certain extent, and made improvements. And now we're having a chance to see what some of those improvements look like, both in the tailoring, as well, in my opinion, of the face itself. I do think that even though they didn't advertise it as being changed, it looks improved for whatever reason. So there's a couple images here that are in front of me. People have been messaging me in YouTube asking, do I regret my choice? And I would say no. I don't regret the choice. I'm still happy I didn't spend that kind of money. I think that was me being a little silly a year ago when I had a little bit more money in the bank and I didn't have other priorities. Now with priorities in life, I'm like, oof, over $2,000 is a lot for a figure. But I gotta say, it does look better. It does look better. And I'm happy for the folks who are now deciding to get it. I know our buddy Will Foxification is still going to get it now. Pop Culture Relics, Luis is going to come on and show us his when he gets it. It does look better, but I'm not sure if it's good enough for that dollar amount yet. And lastly, before I go to the guys, the picture now on the far right is the updated V2 or Variant 2 of the custom sculpt that I decided to go with instead. So I spent $700 Canadian, so about $500 American, to get it rooted and painted, and that's what it's going to look like for me. So I'm very, very happy with the custom route. I'm glad I stuck with that. But what are your thoughts on the J&D? Shane, I'll start with you because you're a big, Batman fan, and I know some of us are getting a little sick of talking about this freaking Joker, but this does seem like it's got an improvement attached to it. What are your thoughts on that?
When I saw these pop up, my initial thoughts were, it actually does look a little bit better, to be fair. But then I thought, is this just better lighting, better lenses, better glass in the lens, better angles, better taking photos, yada yada, better footstare, whatever. And I don't know if it's that or if they've actually made a genuine improvement. But I think you've made the right call. I am happy with my in-art. And we mentioned recency bias at the start of this stream. As soon as that art design came out, even people who said the in-art was better and they were happy with it dropped it like a hot snot. And now you're seeing the issues with the hair. Now, let's be honest, I'd say that's 0.1% of people who actually have that bloody thing. But no, I like right now, I don't want to get an artisan. Hot Toys version. I don't want to get this version. I don't want to get a custom. I am happy with what I have at the moment. And look, they're going to keep making this guy. So in 5 years' time, if they make another banger, I'm like, okay, that is significantly better than what I have, and I'm comfortable with that price point. Then I move on from my in-out, whatever. But at the moment, I'm happy with it. These photos, if it's not just the photos, the lighting, the lens, the equipment they're using, the angles, the perspective, and everything, fair enough. They've made improvements. I still would not pay it. I'm happy enough to pay it for a vehicle. But even me paying it for like a Jazz Inc. 89 with the shipping and the tax and all that kind of stuff behind me is still like, that's a lot of money, dude. Or the 4-pack Joker, but you're getting 4 figures and you're getting 2 dioramas. So for me, it's that, like, what do you call it? What Marco says, opportunity cost. And we all have our own parameters, and there's certain things I can justify and certain things I can't. And I can't justify this price for the one figure. So looks better,
Really
not for me.
Fair. Looks better, not for me. A little too high of price. Pete, any thoughts on the Joker? Now we've gone over Joker many times before, but I honestly didn't think they were going to make an improvement really that was all that noticeable. And the fact that they did kind of does piss me off a little bit, because it made people like myself have reactionary choices, which then cost me money, which again, it's part of the game, but you know, should it piss the people off who did lose money like myself? And how does this look to you?
Yeah. I mean, that's just, you know, let that one go. Bygones be bygones. You put your money down, changed your mind, you took the hit. Not a problem. We'll take that out of the equation. I think I like the custom sculpts that you're getting there. Any idea when you're going to get that?
2025. Yeah, so this year in Q3 to Q4.
Okay.
So it was
I
about
think
a
you
year
made the
from
right
my
call.
time of order.
I think you made the right call. If you want to. It looks incredible.
I love it.
It looks incredible. I think it's going to sound like a weird comment, but the one you're getting is Heath Ledger, 100%. I think the likeness is unmistakable. I think all the others are more Jokery in their kind of the look and the expressions, but I think to me your one looks the most like Heath Ledger of all the ones I've seen. Now, obviously there's all the there'll be other arguments about whose clothes are the best and all this sort of thing, but I think with there's a lot of choice out there now, I think, and even like third-party bits and pieces, so you may well find that custom is probably the best way, because you can get the best of everything. So you can, try and get the best coat, the best shirt and stuff like that, because, the recent ones have been quite expensive anyway. So they're not, they're in the realms of what a good custom would have cost you a couple of years ago. So I think, I'm very interested to see how that sculpt turns out, Banks. It looks fantastic. And I hope it kind of, you're happy with it when you get it. But yeah, I think, I'm a bit jaded with it all. I think that it's a bit annoying that there's sort of figures that they've never made, and we've now had probably, how many official versions of this character we had now? Are we in double figures yet?
DX01, DX01. There was if you count it anyways, there was the police scene.
Yes, we are
Joker
in double
digits.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah,
it's getting up there anyways.
I get it. I get that people love it, and I guess, nobody's got it perfect. So there's always room for somebody to come in and go, I can do better. But I am a bit kind of, it's another Joker. If you love him, you've got one, and you can kind of make points. I don't think it's a case of just whatever one you've got, you argue it's the best. I think, like Shane, he's quite happy to say that there's some bits on this one that he'd like, and this one on this, and blah blah blah. But you can't go out and buy, 4 full figures and put together the perfect one, because you're into thousands. So I think if you're happy with the one you've got, don't get too concerned.
Move on to the next good character. Yeah, there's so many good characters
that you've got to find however much this guy was, 1,500 quid or whatever. There's so many more things to get.
Yeah, totally the case. And I'm glad you see the likeness to Heath in the custom. I definitely do. It really comes out for me.
Yeah.
If it comes out this good, then I'll definitely put it on the show, and we'll look at it when I have it in hand. Heath's Joker is one of my favorite movie characters of all time, and always will be. He's the one figure that, as I said, if I had to eliminate the rest of my collection and I still wanted something that represented my nostalgia in life, it would probably be a Heath variant of the Joker. But on the other hand, I am excited to not do much more with this character going forward. Like, I am excited to now start putting dollars towards just other things, for sure.
Ben, if you don't like it, burn it live on air.
Burn it live on the air. I thought you were going to say give it to me, sell it to Zach. Nope, burn it. That's fine.
Some men just want to watch the world burn, Ben.
Yeah, exactly.
Wild.
There you go.
X-Men, you said you had a quick thought on this before we move on. What was your thoughts, buddy?
Well, first off, let me just say, yeah, the scope you're getting is top notch. Yeah, I mean, you gotta love a character to spend that kind of money on just his head.
Yeah.
But hey, that's gonna look.
Well, I have enough bodies now floating around, so I was.
Oh, jeez, yeah. But it's not enough for JND. It's like, I feel like if you're gonna come into this game, you need to add value to the game itself. And they're not doing that. They're not pushing anyone else to innovate. They've set themselves apart from everyone else that's doing this, and it's not conducive to the community at large, and they just need to stop.
I mean, I would say that the silicone seamless neck thing is an advancement in the technology, but it's one of those pieces of technology that I feel like not many of us necessarily were asking for, at least not for a character like the Joker, who's covered in so many layers of clothing that you almost can't really tell anyways. Like, it's not really that much more of a benefit, in my opinion.
Well, see, you're right. It is an advancement for sure. They are making advancements, but the problem is the way that they've done it. No one's going to try and match them because they know that no one else, or at least hardly anyone else, is going to spend that kind of money for those advancements. Right. Hot Toys doesn't feel pressured to do, articulated fingers, for instance, because why? No one's going to spend J&D money to get it, and they're not threatening their, client base because of that. So, when InArt came on, they made Hot Toys take notice. No one's paying attention to what's going on here because it's just that dollar point. They're not inspiring anyone to do anything else different.
Yeah, they've made their advancement at an inaccessible price point for the majority of folks, and maybe inaccessible is not the right word. An amount that just seems like more of a deterrent than it is like a win. There's no win there, right? Whereas at the end of the show today, we're going to talk about Hono and that, like, and their price points and kind of what they're offering along with that. But like $160 or $165 versus $1,600. How do you get that much more value out of any figure, any character in the display? It's interesting, that's for sure. Now, talking about advancements in technology, people showing up to the scene, companies showing up to the scene that are really working hard to get collectors' attention, in my opinion, for the right reasons. Got to talk about Caustic plastic, right? Now, I didn't have a chance to talk about the Caustic plastic Frankenstein all that much. I did on Collecting Weekly on Tuesday last week. Quick preamble on that. I thought it was an amazing looking figure. Let's be honest. It's wildly beautiful, and the one figure where I think wrist seams will not bother me, on a Frankenstein-esque style character. But the one that I've been waiting to see, and shout out to Six Scale Mafia. I believe the person from Caustic Plastic was on his show, and that's how we were able to get the image that we have here in front of us. We're looking, of course, at Brandon Lee's The Crow. Now, I've gone on record several times over the last year to say I hadn't watched The Crow until I turned 37. Like, I literally watched it this year for the very first time. And I liked it so much that I immediately went out and bought the 6 scale representation from Sideshow, which honestly, I still actually really like that figure. But I could definitely see some room for opportunity for in terms of improvement for both the likeness, the hair for sure, and some of the outfit and all of that. But it's a great figure. So if you ever see it out there, especially for a good price, as we get closer to the Caustic Plastic one, and you don't need perfection, he's awesome. But I really like Brandon Lee's Crow. Tragic story. I definitely see quite a bit of inspiration that has come out of his performance in that film through other media, other movies over the course of our life. Awesome character. And now this is a render that's in front of us. This isn't actually the head sculpt quite yet. But if it gets this close, then it looks pretty damn good to me. Something that Dean Knight pointed out that I'd never caught before. So shout out to Dean Knight as well. He did a quick thoughts video on this, which was interesting. He mentioned Brandon Lee's chin is not asymmetrical, that it actually has a bit of a slant to it. And I was like, really? And then I went and looked at pictures of him, and sure enough, that's just that subtle detail in the rendering here that they're looking at for the sculpt that I think is fantastic, as well as potentially the hair and all of the above. So panel, let me know in the private chat, who's most excited about this one, and I will go to you guys for this. But for me, this might be the first Caustic Plastic I ever pulled the trigger on. While I think the Monsters universe is really cool to look at, I don't have the same nostalgia, so I'm going to skip those ones. This will be my first Caustic Plastic, especially if it comes out this well. Shane, do you have any thoughts here? Oh, no, you said skip me on the Crow. Sorry about that. Classy Thomas, I'll go to you first, buddy. I know you're a Brandon Lee fan. What are your thoughts here on Caustic Plastic's render of Brandon Lee?
I could see where they, I can see the inspiration. I can see a little bit of Brandon Lee. But, I don't know, there's something a little off. I can't put my finger on it. But I'm glad that they're working on this figure, because I think the Crow deserves a little bit more attention. It was a great film, and I think Brandon Lee was gone too soon, and so I think he does need to be celebrated a bit more. But I think the face might just be a little too long. It might be the problem that I'm having.
Interesting.
I can't figure out exactly what I see it as off. But I do like the fact that they're making the attempt.
Absolutely. Because I mean, Hot Toys has given us one as well. Sideshow's given us one. Both of those had their challenges, that's for sure. I know the Hot Toys one peeled like crazy. Who was it here that priced or mentioned it here? Rooted in full leather, 6-scale collector, Mike. Pretty crazy as well. So, but I mean, Caustic Plastic is also pretty expensive. So if this isn't your kind of a favorite character for you, I can understand why that might be a deterrent. Philly, did you say you have some thoughts here on the Crow?
Yeah, you might consider me a diehard Crow fan.
Awesome.
I used to read the comics, and I believe you and I were talking in the beginning when I first met you about watching The Crow. I think that's when I first met you. You watched The Crow, and you loved it. So I know it was right before the remake came out, but I lived it. I read the comics. Yeah. The artist, writer, tragic story, and same with Brendan Lee. He was well loved. He had so much potential, and yeah, unfortunately we lost him, but he gave us a beautiful masterpiece. And this is basically a cult classic for a lot of people.
Hell yeah.
I watch it at least once a year and during Halloween, and it's just beautiful cinematography, beautiful, amazing soundtrack, action, everything you can count for, like, you want in a good movie you have. And so yeah, I had the Hot Toys, and even though it wasn't as great, it still had my love for it because of the head sculpt was kind of like that grinning face, even though I prefer more like the closed mouth right here, which is, thank God they're doing it. And they're doing 2 head sculpts, I believe he said. They're doing a 2-pack. Cool. So that's with awesome. The diorama. So it's funny because I'm the one that jumped in on Mafia Stream, shout out to him, and I knew he hadn't like shown anything, so I did a super chat like Fabio's a really awesome guy from a Caustic Plastic. Yeah, I said, hey, do you have any news about the Crow? Because that's the one I'm particular, and that's when they show this picture, this render.
Hell yes.
And I was like, thank God, and it was like perfect timing. So, but it looks beautiful. I mean, the closed mouth is perfect, and it's going to be rooted hair, and you can see the little details, the scar on the nose, the imperfect chin. I'm looking forward to it. And I do own a Caustic Plastic figure. It's the John Wayne True Grit, and I might say it's a really well done figure. And I am going to get the Frankenstein, so I guess I'm all in with the Caustic Plastic because especially with the MonsterVerse, exactly. You got the Mummy, you got Dracula, and you're gonna want to collect those
because those are Dracula.
The Bela Lugosi one, right?
That's the classic cinematic universe. Before Avengers, that's the classic one you want to get. So, but I'm excited for this.
That's awesome, Pete. With that Bela Lugosi, what's your thoughts on Caustic Plastic, like the figure quality and handling?
Brilliant.
Is it something
brilliant? That was that's my first figure from them, and they run a little bit pricey, particularly if you're going with the any of the diodes and stuff. But it is really, really good. I picked that up. I missed out on the initial pre-orders for Bella, but I managed to pick one up on eBay for a little bit over retail, and it's fantastic. And I was quite vocal about the fact that I was a bit reluctant to pre-order the Frankenstein from Caustic Plastic themselves, because I know I can get hit with customs and stuff now. But when I saw Kit put them up, I was like, oh, hallelujah! Got my pre-order in just for the regular, because I've already got a diorama because I've got a custom one I built. So, but yeah, they're brilliant, and I'm in for the Mummy and the Bride and the rest of them.
That's awesome, dude. Well said. Thanks for doing that. I don't always like putting people on the spot to recommend a figure, but when you've got a good one in hand, you know what I mean? So
I think from what I've seen as well, there are other stuff. I think they're really good, really good.
Hell yeah. Guys, we have 71 people watching live right now. Thank you so much for being here and getting nuts with us today with the big panel of boys here. I got a couple more topics in the lurch here that I'm curious to get these guys on take on before I let them loose on their Sunday. But if you don't mind, if you're just stopping in, if you don't mind hitting the like button, just to drive some traffic to the show for everybody on the replay, especially, it is always very, very appreciated from me. So thank you so much for doing that. The next few things I'll run through pretty quickly. Who on the panel? Valkyrie, obviously you are, and Pete, Star Trek fans, correct?
Yes.
I'll keep it brief because I know not everybody in the chat is a Trek fan, but I will say this first. Jazz Inc. did tease the Mayor look for the Penguin. I know most of us have given our thoughts on previous shows as to what variant of the Penguin they may go with. I think the sewer one was a big kind of more popular one in a lot of people, or like the fluffy coat with the mayor hat and everything, that look as well. So, but I love to see that they're still making progress. So we will be more official in our announcement of this once we see a little bit more from Jazz Inc., but definitely looking forward to that. And then Exo6, most of you will know if you are a subscriber of the Ben Thomas Show that I talk about Star Trek just as much as I talk about Batman and Marvel and Star Wars and all of the things. I love Trek, and Nanjim Tan is the developer over at Exo6. He's put up a special announcement because there has been some issues with the Picard figure going out, some lost figures out there in the universe, so they've had to do another batch for folks. And so he's mentioned here a special TNG, or Star Trek The Next Generation episodic character figure, will be offered when we start shipping TNG Picard replacements for the Lost in Transit orders. This will be an extremely limited production, a unique character, not a must-have, but a fun-to-have figure, and this figure will have the lowest MSRP to date, and those who are waiting for Picard replacements will also have a discount just for them. I doubt anybody will make this character after Exo 6. So my two guesses, at least based on the shadowy image here, and actually shout out to Robert Meyer Burnett as well. I heard him mention this one on Six Scale Mafia. So I was happy to see that I was aligned, and hopefully we are correct, with Captain Jericho on the far right-hand side. One of the coolest episodes in Star Trek, or two-parter episodes anyways, dealing with Cardassians. Some of the best All of Madrid sections of the show loved him as a character anyways. And this guy, not only was he kind of a dick, but he had like some authority even over Picard, which was kind of wild. And people say Jericho was right, even though I don't necessarily agree with that take. But I could totally see a Jericho being made. But I also think the figure that's highlighted kind of still looks like Data. And I was like, what other Data could they make? We've had a First Contact Data. We've now got the TNG proper Picard, Picard, I should say the proper TNG Data. What other Data could be made? And I think it could be this red variant outfit. We already have the red uniform from Picard, and we already have the head sculpt. So they basically just have to kit bash it together. It would make sense for the lowest MSRP if they already have basically all of the necessary bits and bobs. All they would really need to do is change the communicator.
Which
this
episode
is the from for this Data, or for the
no,
I
Data.
can't remember what episode this. I can't remember which one this is. I can't remember. It was like I want to say it was when there was like I don't remember. I can't remember exactly. It was like a Mirrorverse episode or something along those lines.
Yeah, like an alternate timeline kind of.
Yeah, alternate timeline.
Thing,
I don't remember. Let us know, guys, if you know
This
for sure.
one?
But it just stood out to me in my brain. What are your thoughts, Valkyrie?
Oh, so this is the one with Captain Jericho, right? Or
No, the two episodes are different episodes. I'm pretty sure, but yeah, these are my two guesses for what might be the shadowy character in the.
Oh,
in the
okay,
screen
okay.
grab.
Could it be Lore?
Ooh, lore. That could be sweet. That could be
Yeah.
sweet.
I was
Yeah,
thinking
a
maybe-
lore would be great, honestly. For the same reason, right? They already have the Data head sculpt.
Yeah, I mean, just put a different uniform, or maybe like some other outfit he might have worn. I don't know, like if he wore like I forgot if he might have worn something else, but that'd be kind of interesting. Just something off, so he can like so he wouldn't just be like another like remake of Data. He's calling him Lore.
Lore would be my preference as another variant of Data, even over this one with the red outfit. I actually like that more because they could give him more of a sinister look, even if they wanted to, or like honestly a happy expression, like 12-inch actually just mentioned that needs an expression. I mean, he has an emotion chip, right? Gives him that ability to have that. Hopefully they don't get, if you know, hopefully they don't give us a B4 from the film, which is basically just Data, but stupid. I hated B4 after they killed Data off. No spoilers. So, but anyways, guys, interesting thoughts here. If you are an Exo 6 follower,
Just a quick one, Ben.
keep us posted on that. Yeah, what are your thoughts, Pete?
Obviously, I think there's if it's Jericho, I think there'll be some interest there from RoboCop fans. I mean, who doesn't want a Dick Jones in a Star Trek app? No, but seriously speaking, if it's cheap enough that I reckon Aaron will be interested in picking one up and just ditching the suit, and which I'll happy bar for you, mate, if you're going to get one. So you can kit bash his Dick Jones, and then you could put any head on it really. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like there's a more pronounced collar on that silhouette, but you can't really go with that because obviously both these looks, they've got like the old style outfit, season 1, 2 without the collars, so it could be something something with more of a pronounced collar, which would either be a later season Enterprise outfit, or it could be something completely different.
So the other one that I thought Pete might be, it is
that Aaron's in.
What's that, sir?
We've got a deal. Aaron's in. We've got a deal. He'll buy it. Take the head sculpt.
He'll buy it.
I'll buy the body. Yeah.
He said, okay. You guys, if you watch my content on Star Trek anyways here on the show, you will know that I really freaking hated the Wesley Crusher that they gave us. I really thought it looked bad. Really just I'm frustrated because I wanted the whole TNG line, and I really dislike Wesley, but or that variant of Wesley anyways from Exo 6. It could be the rainbow outfit Wesley Crusher as well, because you mentioned the collar, and I immediately thought he's got a big ass collar as that character. Let me just pull this up real quick. Check that out. Maybe I could see it.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
There's definitely a significant possibility. of Wesley Crusher in the rainbow outfit. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. JB says maybe it's another
Enjoy.
Wesley as well. Yeah, you hate to see it. Dick Jones for sure. Aaron works for Dick Jones. You love to see it. So, De Guido says the data in red is from Future Imperfect. Riker wakes up 16 years into the future. Yes, thank you.
Oh, right. I forgot where that was
Oh,
from.
I want to check that out.
That's why
now.
the comm badge is obviously different too. So, but if that was the only piece they had to change, then they could make that figure cheap for sure. But let's continue on. I still want to talk quickly about Mr. Freeze
awesome.
and then Hono before we wrap the show up today. And we lost 8 people during the Star Trek segment. One of those was probably Shane. You hate to see it. He just decided to leave the chat entirely. But Hot Toys last week, because I took last Sunday off, I didn't have a chance to talk about Mr. Freeze when it popped up, at least live. Of course, we got Arnold Schwarzenegger. Here is his representation of Mr. Freeze. So I did my homework. I rewatched Batman and Robin last night while I was cross-stitching and smoking one and eating some snacks. And it was a nice night with the cat. You know what? It's a fun movie. It's lots of nostalgia. People make fun of Arnold for having all his taglines about ice and it's cold and the dinosaurs survived the ice, didn't survive the ice age, and on and on and on. But Poison Ivy also has a ton of those Poison Ivy-esque types of statements, and it was clearly a movie of its time. I forgot that Robin, as he's falling from the Mr. Freeze rocket, he literally screams out "Cowabunga" as he's riding the door on the way down to the ground. It's
Jesus.
Man, they just had a mishmash of a lot of things. The acting was not stellar. But I actually think one of my favorite parts of the film, even still to this day, is Freeze. He's kind of cool. I like the outfit. It's campy as shit.
He's the only redeeming feature. Ben, come on.
But yeah, he really tries really hard to
awesome.
make it fun. My one criticism actually of this figure, if it was going to be really anything, is I do think it's a little on the high price side. I understand that they're running USB power through it, which I appreciate, because I don't think that this figure is going to look good off. The only time we see him in the film where he's turned off is at the end, right, when he's been battle damaged and injured, and his suit gets his piece taken out. I love that they put in Alfred's medicine in his arm, those 2 vials that he gives to Bruce Wayne at the end there to go and help save Alfred. So I think that's a nice little detail in the outfit. But the price feels a little high, especially since it comes with basically a reused base and no extra head sculpt. The one part of Arnie's character in this film is very, very rarely is he this stern. Most of the time he's having a great freaking time. Whatever he's doing, he's just smiling. He's loving freezing dudes. There's a lot going on there. He should have had a happy sculpt, in my opinion.
You don't think it's a T2 head sculpt they're reusing?
Exactly right, Philly.
Yeah.
It reinforces the idea for me that that's probably what they're doing. Now, I've seen people say, no, this is definitely a different sculpt. It's pretty darn close. It's hard to say. So I think that might be the reason why, at the very least. But I also think then if they were going to not give us that, I would have loved to see a couple other accessories, including his machine that he's working on to save Nora with all the different diamond pieces, or at the very least one big ass diamond, because several times throughout the film they're looking for those kind of pieces, and so it's cool. I got it day one pre-order. The part that I didn't buy was the part with the wings and the base. I don't think I'll ever really use the wings. I thought they did look a little on the cheap side, but even in the movie they look kind of cheap. They look like plastic wings in the film, and so I'm like, oh, actually they did a pretty good job of accuracy there. But for the slight variance in price, for something I'll never use, I think it's actually a bit of a rip. So I bought the standard version of this. Guys, let me know private chat if you can, who has a take on this. But Pete, I'm gonna just rock it to you first, and then we'll go to Shane if you got one as well. What are your thoughts here on Mr. Freeze?
Yeah,
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I love it. I've gone ahead and pre-ordered the regular with kit. I agree. I think the base, the deluxe base is okay, but it's just direct reuse from the XC suit, which probably a lot of people didn't get anyway because it's a video game suit.
True.
And yeah, the wings I'd never display it with the wings, so I think it works out just under £300 from kit which, to be honest, I didn't think was too bad when compared to the price of some of the other stuff that has been announced recently, like the whole Red Hulk and things like that. So, I'm a massive Arnold fan. I love Arnold. I was really sad when he took up his mayorship and we kind of lost 10 years of Arnie movies. Could have been some of his best years. He's come back. He's done some stuff, but he's kind of, he's a bit old now. You're right. It would have been great to have a grinning sculpt, but I know that Hot Toys are kind of a little bit scared of doing teeth and stuff now with the Ant-Man and bits and pieces. Yeah, but it would have been great. It would have been great. I think the sculpt. I mean, I don't know if it's a reuse, but I think here it looks fantastic. I think if it is the T2 one, it doesn't seem to suffer from that awful indented
in the
forehead. And I don't know if that's literally just because of the blue colouring. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the film at all, but I'm a fan of Arnie's ridiculous, hammy performance in it. And I love Arnold. And hopefully this is him kind of just letting his license go, and we're going to see some more Arnie figures, because I'm always up for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Classy Thomas, what are your...
A governor, sorry. Not a mayor.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Good distinction. Classy, what are your thoughts here, buddy, on Mr. Freeze from Hot Toys?
I actually have the So-So and the other third-party one. And I still pre-ordered this one. This is amazing looking. I will buy practically any villain, because especially for Batman and Spider-Man, I'm trying to build up their rogues gallery. They have so many great villains, and so Mr. Freeze will proudly be part of this growing display of villains. I can't wait. He looks amazing.
Hell yeah, absolutely, buddy, absolutely. Phil, you said you had some thoughts on the Mr. Freeze. What are your thoughts, bud?
Yeah, I mean, this is, if you think about it, this is a totally left field thing out of Hot Toys. So, I think first of all, I think it's a reactionary, strategy from other companies that have expressed interest in certain figures. So this is good because, I mean, it opens up, Batman Returns, it opens up Batman Forever. There's a lot of opportunity for the villains, because, I mean, we want the female heroes, we want the villainesses and the villains, and we want a whole complete set. And I think this is great. I think it's great. The movie is cheesy, but come on, the design is flawless. I mean, Joe Schumacher did a good job with the design, even though it was, he said it was supposed to be toyetic. So definitely getting this, and not the wings, not the base. You're right. I think I'll save $40 for cheap plastic, so I'll just get the figure alone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting, after watching the movie last night, so I was watching another stream a couple days ago, I can't remember who it was, and I commented in there, like maybe a Bane even, can you imagine having a seamless Bane with the green veins and everything? Could be pretty cool. But then after rewatching the movie last night, as a kid, I really liked Bane. As an adult rewatcher, didn't really do it as much for me. He's just he's just a lunkhead, right? He's just the muscle, which is fair, but he didn't hit the same way I was remembering, anyways, from my nostalgia wise. Whereas I was still really happy, overall with the performance from Arnie and Poison Ivy, or Uma Thurman, of course.
Allow me to break the ice. My name is Freeze. Learn it well, for it's the chilling sound of your doom.
He just has so much fun with it. It's wild to me, but he has so much fun with it. The one thing, though, that I noticed rewatching the film was his eyes kind of glow blue all the time throughout the film as well, until the end of the film, where he's under a heat lamp, basically, and he actually gets like bloodshot eyes. But that's actually one area of this figure that I actually feel like is a slight miss, is that, at least from these figure photos, they're not like shiny blue enough. I don't know if that's something they'll be able to do once it comes to fruition, but we'll find out. X-Men Supreme, you said you had a quick thoughts, and Valkyrie, let me know in the private if you had private chat if you had any thoughts on that as well. X-Men Supreme, what are your thoughts, buddy?
This is cool. Not something I'm going to spend money or space on, but
yeah, right. Cool.
But I do like that this does open the possibility for Ivy, because I want Ivy. Ivy was awesome.
Yeah.
And if they do Riddler from the previous movie, I'll get that too.
Did you ever consider getting the Mars Toys one, or was that one?
No, I'm holding off on a lot of third parties. It's just the last year, I've just had the worst luck with third parties. I've gotten one in, then they announce an official one, or something got canceled or some bullshit. I'm over the third party bullshit. So
for sure,
yeah,
that's fair. Oddly enough, turned off, this figure does look a little bit too chunky in the legs in comparison to what I saw on screen. I thought that on screen he looked a little bit more slendered down in the suit, surprisingly, considering Arnie's a pretty big guy with pretty big chunks of plastic make to look like metal on top of him. He looked a little more slender. This guy does look a little bit beefy as well, but that might just be a factor of it as a figure. It's hard to shrink it down to that 1/6 scale, right? This did make me purchase, though, the Clooney Batman, because I do think, while, a lot of people dislike this movie, this Batman is still a part of Batman history. At least in terms of Batman film history. And while George Clooney is certainly not my favorite Batman by any stretch, especially when he's in costume, actually, I like him more as Bruce Wayne. As soon as he's in costume, it just feels like George Clooney wearing a really good Halloween costume. And I just don't, I actually think I like Nightwing or Robin almost more. Because at least it was the same actor, and you kind of knew what you were going to get with that guy. But I purchased, as a result, I still purchased this figure to go along with Freeze. So then that way I'll still have, at least with the exception of Adam West, every Batman that you can get in 6 scale, at least one representation of each actor's portrayal. And I think that will still be a very cool display, even though this Batsuit is a little bit, I don't know. I even watched the special features of the DVD, which I don't normally do, but in there they were highlighting how much more posable this suit was over the Forever one. And looking at it in figure format, I'm not expecting for much more than what we got out of Forever. But yeah, for sure. Eric, did you have any thoughts?
They'll release the one with all the silver on it now, Ben? From the
I don't think that they will. If they do, it would have to come Barbara Gordon would have to be. Not Barbara Gordon, sorry, because I don't think that's her last name. Barbara, his niece from the film, or Batgirl, Alicia Silverstone, her Batgirl representation. Yeah. I think, because that's the only suit she gets is that final icy look.
Yeah.
I didn't like that suit though, to be honest.
No.
So even if they did it, I don't think I'd go in on it. But if they give the Batgirl, I know some people would get just the Batgirl from this film because they like Alicia Silverstone in the role, especially her suit up scene. Very nice shot in there.
Yes.
Just in case you missed it. X-Men didn't like it though. You hate to see it. Eric or Valkyrie, any thoughts on the Iceman? The Iceman cometh, as he said in the movie. Before we
I have to say, so when I first saw the movie, it was funny because I just graduated from college at the time, and I was excited, and I was like, this is okay, right? So I sort of expunged it from my memory. But when I saw the figures coming out, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get these. That Arnold as Mr. Freeze looks great, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to say I'm all in. I didn't think I would be, but I definitely am. I just love that Freeze figure, and then. How we're gonna get Clooney Batman. Of course, we're gonna get the Nightwing. I like that black and red suit. I think that looks awesome. But I think a little bit of a miss is no Batgirl, of course. No Alicia Silverstone Batgirl. I think we need one.
Interesting. I wonder if any third party will give us that, or if they wouldn't even bother attempting it. So I'd be curious. They also use the heat ray gun in the film quite a bit, both Batman and Robin, and I don't think either of the figures, from my recollection, come with the heat ray gun, but I'd have to look back now. I forgot to do my homework on that one beforehand, but they use that a lot, so that'd be cool.
It's okay, Ben. It's okay. They can just buy one with their back credit card. It's fine.
That's right. Oh my god! And you know what? First time
Which
I
is
noticed
included.
it was
Which is actually included.
with the back credit card. It says Batman Forever on the credit card, which I thought was interesting. It's clearly like that credit card's name, right? The Forever card. But I thought that was an interesting little Easter egg I'd never noticed before. It's kind of funny. So yeah, you know what? Kind of a stupid movie to watch, but it was good for cross stitching and having a bit of a laugh in the evening. This is for Mr. Freeze before we move on.
All right, everyone, chill.
Everyone chill. Love to see it. For our final topic, the reason I'm getting everybody to chill is we got to talk a little bit about Hono. You know, I've had some spicy takes on this week, actually, both on Collecting Weekly and my own take on it there. That's a good Batgirl, by the way, Valkyrie. 100%.
Oh, thanks.
100%. I've had some spicy takes on this because when, like, I initially did a video on this, I did a live. It was kind of late at night. I liked what I was seeing from the figure overall. I don't think it looks bad by any stretch. But the part that for me was kind of lingering was at the time they hadn't posted a price yet. Now the price has been posted finally for this guy, and the guy without the pauldron's coming in at 165. The other guy is coming in at 175 or 170. I can't remember. I think it's a $10 difference. Otherwise, the same figure essentially. And for me, I've gone on record this week on Collecting Weekly and saying that I thought, to be honest, it was too expensive. Now, I've had some backlash from that. People are saying, Ben, you are crazy. How could it possibly be any cheaper? This is the entry grade price point that they advertised. If you're talking about the suit underneath, the black suit looks very similar to the Spider-Man, the black suit, symbiote suit Spider-Man that they've given us with that black underlay suit. So if it already has that suit, plus it's got armor, you know, naturally then as a result, it should be more expensive. You know, it's interesting because oftentimes, you know, on the YouTube side of things, I like to try and convince myself in these videos, just like I'm trying to talk to you guys about it and get your thoughts, that I don't need this stuff, right? Sometimes that's one of the reasons I tune into YouTube, even from my fellow friends who are creators here on their streams. What are they saying? Can they talk me out of it? Is this $165 worth spending? And I will say there's part of that for me is like a bit of a collecting addiction, right? If it looks cool, I kind of want it today, I'm willing to spend the money. But if I sit on things and I think about my nostalgia for either the IP or the character itself or whatever, sometimes I'm able to talk myself out of it. And price point can be an objection that I can create within my own mind for something that, while objectively is cool, I don't actually love it enough to justify it. So as a result, my preference would be a cheaper price point. But all that being said, I still kind of wish this was at a cheaper price point, because I do think if this is meant for entry-level collectors or people who are getting hooked on the sauce, right? The people who haven't bought Hot Toys yet, but maybe are coming from the 1/12 scale where, yeah, this is still kind of a stretch in price, but not that much more expensive than figures they're already paying in 1/12 scale. This might be that next level that they can be like, yeah, I'll justify the extra $40 and pick one of those up. And you know, as I said, get a taste of the sauce into 6 scale. For me, as a Hot Toys collector, I would say that maybe this isn't for people who are already collecting Hot Toys, or at least not to the same extent. Because I will be honest, the addiction side of myself that I recognize says that if this was $125, I'd probably stupidly buy 2. Because then I'd think about getting the Vader. Then I'd think about having that cool trifecta that Shane has in the lifelike representation behind him with Darth Vader up front and the 2 stormtroopers flanking him. That could be a cool animated look. But at 160, I'm like, no, it's too expensive. So there's been a mixed result in the community, because the people who love this say, well, if you don't like it, screw you. I think it's cool and I'm willing to spend the money. And to me, the funny part is watching collectors justify to the company why they're willing to spend more money. Don't tell them, folks. Tell them you'd only want to pay $125. I know it's a pipe dream, but don't give the objection handles to them, because they're never going to reduce the pricing otherwise. So, all that being said, there's a lot to say. I apologize. I'm curious what you guys think, what your thoughts are. Am I out to lunch thinking that there was a realm in which this should have been cheaper to get people hooked in the hobby? Or is this the best price point they really could justifiably come up with, and it doesn't matter to people because they're going to buy them anyways, just like they buy the $250 clones? This is $100 cheaper than that. That's still a good deal on my part. What are your thoughts? Shane, I'm going to start with you because you are a Trooper collector. What was your thoughts when Hono popped this up the other day?
I don't care.
Interesting. Okay.
It's Rebels. I haven't watched it. Why would I care? Also, I have two of the original trilogy Stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Like, they're the ones you want. Everything else is an offshoot. Like, I mean, some people are into clones. That's fair enough. Some people will look at this and go, yes, Rebels, great. Some people will look at this going, oh, brilliant. I can't wait until they do Ezra and Kanan and Ahsoka, which, let's be honest, folks, that, I don't know, probably won't happen. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a Rebels fan, you're watching this and you're like, I love Rebels. Yes, they're going to give us a Vader and a Trooper. Brilliant. Will they give us a Kanan? Will they give us an Ezra? Will they give us an animated Chopper? Kind of highly unlikely after the Ahsoka. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong for the people that want them. No, I agree with you. I do think they're overpriced. And I'll tell you why. I heard a lot of people say, oh, but yeah, they just gave us a original trilogy TIE Fighter pilot, and that's $245. Yeah, but that is original trilogy and it's live action. So take us and like the Troopers, if you want to compare like with like, Troopers tend to be priced lower than their kind of normal 6-scale counterparts or whatever like that. So if you take a standard, if you look at the recent releases, TIE Fighter pilot, $245. And look at a normal 6-scale figure, not like an Iron Man, not like an oversized thing like a Red Hulk, not something with a drastic electronics, just to keep it simple, like a Blade or a what's that one? Squid Game guy, you know what I mean? Gion. So
Gion, yeah.
Blade is $290. Yeah, the TIE Fighter pilot is $245. I think that's a good example, right? So that's $45 cheaper. So it's about 85%, 80% or 85% of the original, the cost of your standard 6-scale. If you look at the Wolverine on this, which is 160, and yet what's 85% of that? It's probably around 140. Now I know people would say, yeah, but you can't really say that because the Spider-Man was 200 and something, but that's another thing with the Hono line. The prices are bouncing around the place, but I don't think they should be 125, Ben. I'm not sure if you said that or someone else said that.
I saw people say it. I laughed at that. I said I think 140 would have been the sweet
I think
spot,
140, 145 would be an easier pill for people to swallow. And if people are into Rebels, happy days. They can just buy 2 of these for the price of a standard 6-scale figure, which, let's face it, is creeping towards $300. And like I said, I'm excusing the likes of the Iron Man and the light up kind of Mr. Freeze or the bigger figures or vehicles, whatever. So yeah, look, someone could be watching this going, yes, Rebels, but like, come on, if it was $145, you'd be it would make it a little bit easier if people are going to army build, because people are going to army build this. So like, it doesn't matter to me, but I see $165 and I'm like, you know what, I'd rather pay the extra. I think they're the $240 for the ones that I got, the original trilogy with the light up diorama, really nice light up diorama Death Star walls. Yeah, it's probably an extra $70. Yeah, it is more, but I think it's a better figure. I think it looks better on the shelf, but again, that's getting into subjectivity. There's someone watching here probably going, no, I'm kind of more leaning towards your camp on this, but then again, I haven't seen Rebels, so I don't care, you know. I don't think they're going to complete this line though. Like I don't think
they're still getting Rebels figures out from the live action. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, people are still just getting Sabine now for that.
How different would Chopper animated be from Chopper live action? You know, I think this is just a handy one. It's Hot Toys being Hot Toys. All right, we don't have to give a sculpt to the Vader. Really, they don't have to. They can give the cracked sculpt maybe, but they don't really have to. And they're not going to. They don't. These are unsculpted figures, so I just it was real flat for me.
Marco made a comparison for me for the 3-0 Power Rangers that happened a couple years back. I got the Green Ranger for $100, and that was a great figure, very posable. Not the greatest joints and stuff necessarily, but overall it did exactly what it was supposed to do for $100. And I was like, I love that figure. And that was, again, one of those times where it's like, I don't need it, but it's so well priced that, like, screw it. I could get all 5 for the price of one good hot toy out there, and see what the Rangers look like in the display. Now I did, and I moved them on, but still, I'm happy I got the chance to try it. I think that there's a world in which where Hono will be people's first foray into 6 scale, just like how people came from Funko Pops in the past, or they came from Black Series or Mezco or whatever and made the jump into Hot Toys. That's a much broader jump. And when I think entry grade, that's what I think of. I'm trying not to see Hono from the same lens as Hot Toys, because I do think that the material quality isn't quite there. But my criticism of the price is more in the business strategy. If you could sell these more at volume, there is that element of there's cost for storage. So if you make things en masse, you have to pay to store them somewhere. So that's still a good argument. But on the other hand, I think this would be easier to justify getting into the hobby, but also army building with these, if somebody was, I guess, interested in doing so. But yeah, you know, Shane, I would say that like this one clip for you is, I think I made this clip literally for you, because this is how I felt when you said this.
How about new?
You need to find a way to make your computer chair motorized, that's for sure.
Yeah, I will.
Pete, there was a lot on the bone there still left for you, good sir. I know you're a Star Wars fan. What was your reaction when you saw Hono pop up in the news this week? And does this diminish your excitement of Hono, or does it just change your perspective of them? Like, where are you landing? What camp are you in?
I'm a bit indifferent to Hono. They haven't put anything out that I'm interested in picking up so far. Like Shane, I've not really watched Rebels. I think I watched a couple of episodes when it first aired, and I found it a little bit too sort of young, aimed at a much younger audience, so I kind of jumped out on that one. But
that's fair.
I do like. I mean, I'm a massive Stormtrooper fan. I love the original design. I've got lucky enough to have 3 of the New Hope Hot Toys ones.
Crazy.
But having said that, I do like this simplified design. I think it's quite cool, you know, main differences being like the belt and the arm pieces and everything. And it's a kind of figure that I'd love to just have on my desk and play around with and pose and stuff like that. It certainly wouldn't fit in with anything that I've got here in my collection. I wouldn't be looking to get the Vader or anything. I'm not really a fan of that look. I certainly wouldn't want anything else from Rebels. So I think aesthetically, I like the look of this. But I don't see any reason for me to buy it. I think the price, it's just the way that everything's going. Unfortunately, you know, prices of stuff just seems to jump up from week to week now, and it's getting harder and harder to sort of juggle your budget for figures and stuff like this. So I think, yeah, it's probably overpriced, but it still is that little bit cheaper. But I don't think,
still reasonably,
unless you're a Rebels, but unless you're a Rebels fan, you're not going to choose this over a live action Stormtrooper. It's aimed squarely at that fan base, I think. But I don't mind it. So I think it looks quite cool. But yeah, not for me.
For sure. And that's the point that you know, our buddy Eddie Money Mendez challenged me on the other day when I was talking about, I wish this was a lower price. I'd consider buying more, but more because of the addiction piece and blah blah blah. I still think they look fun. You know, this might be a figure I keep on my desk, maybe not even put it in the display, and just have a trooper that I just pose up while I'm working or messing around, right? Like that kind of stuff is all cool. But the challenge he had for me was, well, you clearly just don't like this enough to justify it to yourself. Like that's really more of the root issue, is that you like it, but you don't like this representation enough, whether that's because it's from Rebels or the animated representation or whatever it is. Because I will say, this doesn't change my excitement for Hono at all. In fact, it actually opens it up a little bit, but for still characters like, you know, TV shows like Batman the Animated Series or Batman Beyond or Superman the Animated Series. I would love to see some of those animated series brought into Hono and developed, because, or honestly, even just other DC releases, right? A really good DC Batman line, Green Lantern Corps, right? Like there's so many cool things that Hono could do. So
you know,
I think
really
this,
cool?
I was just like, but why this one then? Go ahead.
Batman Beyond. That would be really cool if I want to do that.
Batman Beyond would be so good, dude. It would be so cool, for sure. So I don't mean to, as I said, it doesn't, for my own self, I'm not trying to take away my own excitement for Hono. I just already feel like I've got a good enough representation for this for a pretty reasonable price still, overall, which then made this feel a little on the high side. Classy, what are your thoughts here on Hono as a brand or the Troopers announcement here that came up, as well as the possible tease of Vader coming?
I'm not really that interested in the Star Wars side. I just have a very limited. I like the initial trilogy, and that's pretty much it. But
Fair.
the animated stuff is actually nice to look at, but I don't really have any interest in laying down any money for this. But it does not take away from my interest, in Hono. I really like that company. I like what they're doing because they are very more animated styles to figure form. And I like that. I like this for Star Wars fans that
For sure.
really like animation. So, keep trucking, keep doing what you're doing. But I'm just not that interested in Star Wars. I don't know why.
Totally fair. Totally fair. And I agree with you, Classy, too. I'm excited for the Star Wars fans, the really hardcore ones, especially that like Rebels. I do like Rebels more than Clone Wars. While I think that Rebels was still directed more at a younger audience, there are some episodes in there that were just amazing. One of the episodes that stands out for me actually was Ahsoka when she's up against Vader. There's a scene in there in which Vader's mask gets cut, and it's a friggin' epic scene. And I'm like, man, like what I would have almost rathered see is an animated Rebels Ahsoka as their first Hono option, or in reverse, the Vader that they've teased a pending arrival from, because that is that Ralph McQuarrie, I think, if I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
His concept for the look of Vader, the more slendered down version, the slender and kind of sleek mask, like that's really cool. Troopers are great, but to be honest, Troopers feel more like side characters to other main characters that Star Wars fans would want.
Sorry, but
Go
I
ahead.
think they're depending on people army building, so that way this line
Yeah.
can be successful. There's
That's what
only
I
one
would-
Vader,
that's what I would think
and
too.
there's multiple
Yeah.
stormtroopers.
Do you think you still think that people will army build at this price? You still feel like it's good enough price point to justify
I
that,
really love that Vader, but I really don't like this one. But I may still get two of these just to put next to Vader. So look at that Vader design; it's beautiful.
It's pretty cool. What do you think they'd make the material with, really? Then, do you think it would be all leather? Do you think it would be cloth material? Like, how would they keep this at a reasonable price point and not have it just blow to pieces like a leather outfit would?
For Vader, that's a good question. They might go with something like nylon. I don't know. I mean, plastic and nylon, and then some cloth. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be similar to the Hot Toys, but it's going to be less, detailed and just basic and, given that animated look. So.
For sure. No, well said. Valkyrie, I know you're like a newer collector. I mean, you've been at it now for a little while for sure, but you've had the perspective of seeing kind of coming into the hobby where the price points have been for the last year. A lot of us who are Hot Toys collectors remember a time where Hot Toys were in the $245 range pretty consistently. And now the barrier to entry for a Hot Toys is $285 a lot of the time, if not significantly higher. For Hono, at the $165 price to entry, price point, it's somewhere between $165 and $215, I think, is the range right now.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on Hono? Their offerings so far? Are you excited for any other characters, or was something like a Star Wars one something that stood out to you?
Well, I think you also know I'm a troop builder, so
Yeah.
And actually, I did find a store that does sell these the stormtroopers, like not the officer with the pauldron, but this regular one. It was in the 150s range, and the store actually doesn't have sales tax, or it's in a state that doesn't have sales tax. So I was thinking about going there, maybe like buy one or two, see how they look, see how they fit in, and maybe even buy a few more after that if I really like them. So
Totally.
Yeah, so price is also a big deal, but you're right. But finding it for like 150, mid one or high 150s, that's a little bit of a savings. So I'm actually pretty excited.
Cool, man. That's exciting. I love the excitement. It comes through your camera. I'm digging that. That's awesome, man. Hell yeah. Dave, last but certainly not least, buddy, before we wrap the show up today, what are your thoughts on Hono as a brand so far and the Star Wars offerings?
I like that they're venturing outside of Marvel because, like you and some other people have said, I want to see them do animated Batman. I think that'll be great. I think that I view these Star Wars offerings a little bit less harshly than a lot of people do, because for me, Star Wars is tertiary. Marvel and DC come first, and honestly, when this Vader comes out, if he has that cracked helmet, I'm buying him. This will be my first Vader if that happens,
dude. Yeah,
I love Rebels. I get that the animation makes it look more, child cartoony. It is not. It really is not. I think the art for this show is fantastic. I love the way this Vader looks. This was peak Ahsoka. And Ahsoka is one of my top 2 Star Wars characters.
One of my favorite designs for Ahsoka, even. Like,
it looked amazing.
Like her look in it, yeah.
Yeah. 100%. And I definitely will, because if they make that cracked helmet, then that means they're making her. And I want that. That was my favorite Star Wars scene, barring absolutely nothing.
Hell yeah,
and I am a bit concerned that they're not leading with the bigger characters. Like their first 2 are stormtroopers. So I feel like that's just them putting out something that they know sells otherwise and testing the water. And that worries me because of all the reactions I'm hearing right here, right now. Because, how many people are going to actually buy a bunch of stormtroopers in the animated style when they're more concerned about having more realistic looking figures?
Sure.
So if people don't buy those, then I think it's a pretty safe bet because money is the only thing that talks. They're not going to continue with Rebels if they can't sell stormtroopers, which is something that people buy up ridiculously.
Totally.
So,
for fine.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Were you done your thought, Dave? I don't want to.
Pretty.
Yeah, I think for my final thoughts on this, then, as a result of kind of everything you guys have said, I still do feel it's a little on the high side, on the price side. And I know there are going to be folks that just shake their head at that. Totally get that. What I'm seeing, though, and I think what I'm going to take away from Hono going forward is, we used to get frustrated with YouTubers when they'd say, oh, well, maybe this is just not for everyone, right? Or I can see why you like it, but it's not for me. Totally get that. I think Hono is actually a good representation of that. Similar to how we feel about Mondo releases. Philly, you were showing your Battle Cat there earlier. Dude, I'm so excited for you because you have the nostalgia for He-Man. So for you to get that Battle Cat in hand that's the size of a freaking house cat, doesn't matter that it's got joints, doesn't matter that it's made of plastic, doesn't matter. It is the representation for you in your brain and in your nostalgic heart of Battle Cat in your display. So for you, Mondo is worth the price of admission, just like Mondo gives us He-Man, Masters of the Universe, just like they give us X-Men figures, just like they give us Batman the Animated Series. There is a space for that in your collection room if you have the nostalgia for it. Just like Hono Rebels, if you have the nostalgia for it, there's 100% a space in your collection, and nobody who collects, whether you're YouTubers or panelists or chat members, should need to justify what's in their collection. If it means something to you, that's what's most important. I don't work your job. I don't have to put in your hours. I don't make your money. You do. You spend it on the things that matter the most to you, because that's what I'm going to continue to do. I buy Star Trek figures. Some people think that's great. Some people are like, you're crazy, man. I don't even care. I got a Jean-Luc Picard this week. I was stoked about that figure. Stoked. But you'll never see Shane have a Jean-Luc Picard in his collection. It doesn't matter. It's not for him. It's for me. Right? And so the end of the day, Hono is not for everybody. It is definitely for newer collectors, I think. I think it is a way to get people to drink the Kool-Aid and have something that is still 6 scale, that's somewhere between 1/12 and 1/6 at a sweet enough price point that you're like, I've got a little bit of money to spend today, but maybe not as much as I would normally, especially with the way the economy is these days and all the things. This might still be something that's fun to buy down the line. But I will be excited to see what Hono does, and I'm excited to see how fulfilling these lines will become. Because like we said earlier, if these are only moderately successful, do we even have a hope in hell of getting other Rebels characters? I feel that way about the X-Men line. Are we going to see all the X-Men? Are we going to get figures like Batman animated series? And if they go in that, are we only going to get 2? Or are we going to get 50 over the next 10 years, right? Like, what's going to happen? And I think that's the exciting part for me with Hono, is the what's gonna happen, and is it nostalgic or not? That's how I'm gonna make my decision, I think, most likely going forward. Guys, that's it for the show today. Thank you for being here as always. I'm gonna give a special shout out to our channel members, then I'll go through the panel quickly and to see what they've got going on, and then we will wrap it up for the day. Our Tough Nut crew involves Alvin J, collecting weekly money, Mendez, 1 Adam 12, 6 scale Mafia, 1 6-figure Focus, Feezy's Figures, King Dingling, 6 scale collector, 12-inch Moose Stream, The Batman, The Movie Canon, Parks Industries, SpongeBob Square Balls, Classy Thomas, of course, Honest Hansel, Peter Cass, Harry Dempsey, Ryan Smith, Collector Joey, Sam Gist, Rachel Miller, Jose G. Hernandez or Jose Plus, Figure in a Bubble, Collection Obsession, Blurred Dad Life, Balls, Alex Serrato, Pop Culture Relics, Daniel S.C., Figurecraft, Trevor Weed, Big Rip, as Dean would say, X-Men Supreme, Don Maton, Monroe Corbeil, Valkyrie Magnus, Brick Artemis is back, by the way. We lost him for about a week there, and he came back. So I'm happy to have him back here, of course. We got OG fan when Star Wars was just Star Wars, Tijuana Mike, a.k.a. King Churro. And then for our 5 guest memberships right now from a week or 2 ago, hopefully we can keep you guys in the membership as well. But, of course, we got Big Dog Pound 1 with a woo! We got Equan, Keith Lee, Hodor 317, and Mike Latoris. Thank you all for being channel members of the Ben Thomas Show. We greatly appreciate you. If you guys missed it last on Let's Get Nuts 2 weeks ago, we had our channel member giveaway. We gave away the alien xenomorph that's coming from Hot Toys. So that's where your channel membership money goes. That's where super chats go, all of the things. I want to put it back to you guys. So consider becoming a Tough Nut crew member. But otherwise, of course, we just love having you guys here. As far as my panelists, thank you guys for taking 2.5, almost 3 hours of your Sunday to be with me. I appreciate you boys more than you even could possibly know. Shane, 1 6-figure Focus, buddy. What's coming up on the channel for you that we can look forward to?
Thanks very much for inviting me on. Can't do it every Sunday because of work and time and stuff like that, but I appreciate it when I can. And so thanks very much. And it's good to see Pete and Classy and Philly, and to meet Eric, and always good to see Dave. What's coming up? We got the Hope Show returning tomorrow, and yeah, we're doing our kind of ongoing giveaway for giving away an artisan Anakin Skywalker. Could end up being bald, but time will tell. Not sure how that one's gonna show up, but as soon as that's released and as soon as I have it, we'll be giving that away. And to enter, you have to drop a super chat on any live stream or a super thanks on any video, or just be a channel member at the time of the giveaway, which you'll be given plenty of notice. So that's exciting. What else?
When you give that figure away, Shane, can you come on the YouTube channel and be like, this is your figure when you did this for this channel membership piece, and give it away?
No.
No? Oh.
No, I'm not.
I thought it was worth it.
Yeah. No, this
is actually your figure now.
Yeah. This is actually your figure. Yeah, I'm actually giving you. So no, I won't be doing that.
You know.
We all massage the algorithm in different ways. But no, I know what you mean. No, it'll be a duck race, and whoever gets it, and it'll be exciting. So I have the Jazz Inc. 89, and I'm going to be reviewing that and putting that up. So that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Thanks for being here, man, as always. I know it's late for you there, your time, you and Pete, but really appreciate you being here. And speaking of which, Pete, thanks for being here, buddy. Sorry I didn't mention the time change. It didn't even cross my mind. I just thought you were pulling a Dean. So
Yeah, it's fine.
What's going on for you, buddy?
I think if I'm on next week, I'll have to remember. And then I think the weekend after we change hours, so we should be back in sync. I mean, it's great because it's an hour earlier.
Yeah, you got a bit more.
Kind of missed.
You look more
missed out
awake
on
than
the
you
bonus.
normally do, actually. But
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we put out a new episode of OFAC since I was last on here. So that was the week before last. That was a good show with our new host Aaron, back for his second show. Yeah, and then so we're not back until the 15th of April for OFAC, but we're doing another live stream on Aaron's platform, Aaron Articulates, on Tuesday. So that'll be me, Ian, and Jim. They've been a really good laugh so far, so check those out if you haven't already. And yeah, so yeah, looking forward to that.
yeah, I want to try to jump in on one of those live streams with you guys, all the Brits. Sounds fun. So
Yeah,
because
funny.
the
And
accents
again,
all like.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It's great. It's good fun. And again, like to echo Shane, great to stream with all you guys, and obviously Thomas. Glad to have you back, buddy, and hope you continue to get better and better every time we see you again. But yeah, you've been missed, buddy.
Yeah, it's good to see you all cleaned up, classy, and everything, and back up upright in the chair and looking all healthy. Looking good, buddy, for sure. Quick shout out to Shane too. Shane, I know you made an appearance yesterday on 16fix YouTube channel. Our buddy Marco, of course, and Jose Plus has been helping to host that stream, Más o Menos, which adds a little bit of a Spanish flair in there for sure. With regards to a collecting show, it was fun to watch, and the competition that happened in that show was pretty wild, so don't miss it. If you have a chance, go over, subscribe to 16fix if you don't already. Do so, of course, and check out that show hosted by Jose over there as well. And again, yesterday's episode had Shane in there as well, if you like Shane at the very least. Because Brandon Riley says, Shane, you look thirsty for some black gold. Love to see it.
I've had two. And,
yeah, no wrong with having a third, man. It's totally fine. Classy Thomas, anything coming up for you this week other than just recovery, buddy, or any figures coming in you're excited for before we wrap up for the day?
Well, I have been receiving some, but I don't have any shows that I committed to doing, except for possibly coming back on Wednesday night with
After Dark
with
Boys.
After Dark, because I said, when I come back, I've got two priorities. That's Ben and Zach. So I'm trying to make sure that I keep up my energy and do my vocal exercises so I can come and hang out with you guys. But
Oh, yeah, man.
I did want to give you a quick show and tell, if you don't mind. This is something I've received recently. If you're a Street Fighter fan.
Oh, they look good.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice, classy.
they
They're
turned
beautiful.
out really, really good. And they're all caked up.
Okay, no.
They got these big thighs.
You said it.
Yeah.
And
Huge thighs. Oh my god.
huge thighs, yeah. And a lot of, I guess, the only proper way to say it would be hammy toe. Hammy toe, but hammy toe.
Very cool.
So wild.
These are
They're
great.
they're great for
figures.
posing. Just be careful with the joints because they can break through the silicone. Just a heads up.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been working with silicone for quite a while. So this one, these two are great. I love them. So
That's awesome, classy.
yeah, so I actually have them. I have Chun-Li, and of course, I've got the iconic guys. So, be able to put up a Street Fighter display sometime soon.
If you do take a picture for me, we'll show it on the show. Even if you're not on that episode, I'll pop it up in the show.
Okay.
Slides.
I'll see what I can
Good?
work on.
Cool, man.
All
Sounds
right.
good. Sounds good. Thanks for being here, buddy. As always, classing it up. As always, wishing you the best of health. Can't wait for your voice to hit full strength so you can hit those high notes again. But I always love hearing your ASMR tone here. Anyways, so as always, buddy, we love you. Thanks for being here, man. Philly, I'm glad you were able to stick around a little bit. Thanks for your show and tell as well. That was really cool and great freaking work on that, by the way. As well as again, shout out to that Matrix hallway scene, like Shane mentioned, because goddamn, it made me want to be like. The way you were putting it together, I was like, that doesn't look like it could be that hard. Like, maybe I could figure that out. And I'm like, no, I bet it's freaking
not
really
that
hard.
No, buddy,
you need to do a tutorial. You got to do a tutorial then on how to make a brick wall. Give us something to start with.
I did, buddy. There's a YouTube video.
Is there?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet then. Fake
There's
fan,
a 20.
hate to see it.
There's
Let's
a
see
20-minute video. It's really simple. It gives you all the instructions and
Yes.
and the supplies, and that all cost me like under $30. It's just stuff laying around the house that I had. It is actually styrofoam from Christmas gifts.
That's cool.
I'm not kidding.
Really?
So
Whoa.
yeah. So yeah. I'm trying to get a feel what kind of content to make.
Oh,
and
there it is.
I'm maybe doing more dioramas, obviously, because I'm having fun with it, and it gives something other than the figure talk and stuff like that, the unboxing and stuff like that. There's a lot better people that can do that much better than me. So I want to give something different. Maybe start doing the dioramas. I do want to also do streaming soon. I will have a membership coming out soon as well. You see it there. It was originally intended for Daredevil because of the premiere of the Daredevil show. But the beauty part about that diorama is you can use it with anything. I'm thinking about using it with John Wick in a couple of weeks because I'm getting my figure soon.
100%.
Yeah. So it's definitely something to look at if you are interested in doing that. But yeah, I have so many projects right now, Ben. I don't know which one to tackle, but that's the good thing. You can keep yourself busy. So, yeah, just stay tuned. If you're not a member or if you're not subscribed to my channel, check it out. There's a few things about pop culture and figures and stuff like that. So if something like that interests you, check it out. And I'm also in Instagram. If you want to check out Instagram, I have a lot of photography. I've been having fun with the photography. So if it gets you inspired to do so, go for it and check it out. And thanks for having me, Ben. It's always a pleasure.
Always.
Thank you. And everybody in the panel. Thank you guys.
And we got lots of great folks in our Let's Get Nuts show sheet private group as well. So if you guys ever want to post anybody here that's a YouTube creator, if anybody you guys want to post your content in there, stuff that you think everybody should see, feel free to throw it in the Let's Get Nuts chat as well. And occasionally I'll be able to shout it out a little easier and honestly not miss it, because that was one that I was like, oh man, I got to figure out how we did that. It never popped up in my algorithm. Didn't even know you made it. So I hate that about YouTube sometimes. It doesn't always show you the stuff you actually would want to see. So that's cool, man. Congrats on that, though. That's freaking awesome. Valkyrie Magnus, second time on the show. Hope you had a great time as well. Skipped all those dishes. I hate to see it. Anything coming up for you, buddy, this week that you're excited about before we roll you out?
Not much, really. I have some ideas for some cool 1/6 scale photos I might do this week. Maybe with my Batgirl here, and maybe even use the what was that one? The bike again that Batman had? I forgot what it's called. From the Dark Knight. I'll see if it's
the Batpod?
Batpod,
yeah.
yes. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
excited
can see
for that. Maybe even stick her in one of my Batmobiles too. That should be fun. But what's funny is what's taken off is for my photos. It's not my toy photos, but it's actually my beach sunset photos, which are kind of taken off. So maybe check those out if you like that too.
If you like looking at serene beach sunsets.
Yeah, I had some great ones with like purple haze, like around like the Oregon coast. Some great golden sunsets in Seattle. A lot of cool pics. But also, I just want to say it was just great to stream with people I haven't streamed before with either, like Philly, Classy Thomas, Pete, and Shane. And also Dave. It's like for me, I always have to stream with Dave. And then for me to be on your show, I think it's just awesome for me just to be on your show. So thank you very much.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. No, for sure. I'm very happy to have you here. I was trying to find a clip really quickly, but I couldn't find it in time. You hate to see it. But either way, I'm happy that you were able to show up to the show. Purple Haze sounds like a strain I'm going to smoke after the show, but I would definitely be interested in seeing that, of course, as well. And this is you and Dave every time you guys see each other on stream.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Yes.
Love to see it. Thanks for being here, Valkyrie, as always. Dave, certainly, again, last but certainly not least, my friend. Anything coming up for you this week that you're excited about? Any figures coming in? Anything like that? Or are you just going to be making your rounds as you do?
Well, yeah, I'm waiting on Modern Suit Batman and Pennywise to show up. They should be hitting in a couple of days.
Hot Toys Pennywise or In-Art Pennywise?
In-Art Pennywise. No. I'm sorry. The old school,
Sideshow one.
Hot Toys one.
Yeah.
Oh, Side? Oh, the I got you.
Sideshow,
Yeah, the Tim Curry
That's
one.
exciting. Ooh,
Yeah,
you might have to
ready
bring
for
that
that
on.
guy.
I'm
Yeah,
excited.
that
to see
was one of my big childhood movies. You know, one of those
Hell
things you
yeah.
shouldn't have watched it, but
Yeah.
I loved the hell out of that movie when I was a kid. But yeah, those guys are coming in. I believe I will be making an appearance on the Hope Show tomorrow with Shane and them.
Cool.
That is fake news. Absolute fake news. Not true. Yeah, you can come on. It's okay. No, yeah, he is. I invited him yesterday anyway.
Yeah, I just got myself on. See, that's how you do it. That's
No,
how
I invited you. There's footage. There's live footage from Jose's stream yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. Other than
He's
that,
a great
I'm just,
guy. Sorry.
He's probably the best YouTube streamer ever.
Dave, you got the Supergirl behind you. Have you opened her up yet?
Oh yeah. I haven't wanted to put the box away yet because it's a cool box. But I have her sitting over next to my 89. I love it.
Looks amazing. I'm very tempted.
I'm so glad. Like I had her on order. I canceled her when Sideshow pushed her back.
Here we go.
And I was like, well, I'll buy her through Underground and get her cheaper. And I waited too long. And just thanks to D-Lo, man, because I ended up in friggin' Fort Lauderdale, and he's like, hey, check out Tate's. I said, okay. I went there. I was hoping maybe I'd find her. I didn't think I would. They had one. And I was like, yeah, dude. That's
Did you get one, Ben? Did you get one?
I didn't get one. I didn't. I skipped on her. Which I'm kicking myself a little because she's beautiful. But I am holding out for.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the new representation of Supergirl in James Gunn's universe. I really like that actress as well.
You'll have another opportunity.
Another opportunity to have a Supergirl in the display. But she I mean, Sasha Kaya, she played it freaking awesome. She was one of my favorite parts of the movie, so I can see it for sure.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah, Dave.
Great
suit. Good find, by the way. You know it's fate when there's only one left. That's how I felt about my Bane 2.0 figure. I'd said to Zach at Collecting Weekly that I'd give him my 1.0 if I could find a 2.0. Thinking honestly I'd never find a 2.0, and then sure enough, there it was sitting. So then I had people in the comments be like, so Ben, are you going to honor what you said and give it to Zach? And I'm like, already done. Thank God. Whatever you say on YouTube stays on YouTube forever, so don't forget that, boys. But all of that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching today. Everybody in the chat, still the 30 or 40 people still here, up to the 70 people that were watching throughout the show, and everybody who's going to watch on replay. On your way out the door, if you don't mind, if you forgot, hit the like button. It's very, very appreciated. Of course, my little channel here is called The Ben Thomas Show. If you're here, you're already aware of it. Having said that, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe already, but you like all the content that comes up, I also really appreciate you hitting that button as well. But other than that, guys, I think it always goes without saying that today was a really fun show. Thanks for being here, as always, boys. And let's say, because Classy, it was the classy guest of the evening. Classy, we got nuts. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Well, what a great audience. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Subscribing makes you feel good. It's like, oh, what should I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. It's gone. It's all gone.